Chapter 540. Alright, since Brother Nantian has said so, Star Palace will do something for the sake of the world. Disciples of Star Palace, listen up. Surround the divine stone. As long as Ling Xiao appears, kill him. Tan Lang and the other two's voices were cold. All the experts of Star Palace surrounded the divine stone. The genius disciples who had spoken up for Ling Xiao fell silent. Their eyes shone brightly and no one knew what they were thinking. The inheritance of Scarlet Dragon of War that Holy Master Nan had mentioned was indeed tempting. Only the successor of Sword God Pavilion, Princess of Phoenix Ancient Kingdom, Moon Goddess and a few others insisted on standing on Ling Xiao's side. That's just your guess. What if Ling Xiao can really suppress the illusory demon ancient tree? Whoever dares to touch Ling Xiao will be the enemy of Moon Palace. Moon Goddess's calm and indifferent face revealed a tinge of anger. How could she not know that Holy Master Nan had ulterior motives? He was trying to divide the people with his words and instigate them against Ling Xiao so that he could snatch the treasures from Ling Xiao. What was the so-called life-saving grace in front of the inheritance of Scarlet Dragon of War? That's right. Whoever dares to touch Ling Xiao will be the enemy of Sword God Pavilion. The successor of Sword God Pavilion stood out and his eyes were filled with coldness. Ling Xiao is to my liking. Let's see who dares to touch him. Everyone, don't be so rash. When Ling Xiao comes out, let's make sure that he hasn't been possessed. Before that, no one is allowed to touch him. Granny Gui and the elder of Sword God Pavilion, Jian Bumi, stood out. The aura of half-step to Supreme Being spread out and caused the void to tremble. Hee, old man, I advise you to stay out of the Nantian family's business. Otherwise, when our master returns after killing Green Dragon Human Emperor, do you dare to go against a Supreme Being? Nan Tianqi said coldly. The cold aura around him exploded as he contended with Granny Gui and Jian Bumi. Even a Supreme Being can't be unreasonable. I, Xiong Laohe, will definitely interfere in Brother Ling Xiao's business. Xiong Laohe and the other great demons who were indebted to Ling Xiao also supported Ling Xiao and did not back down. Outside the heavenly divine stone, many experts were confronting each other. It was as if a great battle was about to break out at any moment. The situation could erupt at any moment. Inside the heavenly god stone, Ling Xiao's breakthrough had also reached a critical moment. Roar! The dragon's roar shook the heavens, and the dragon's might filled the air. Golden divine light illuminated the heavens and the earth. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in the boundless void. Golden dragons coiled around him as if he had pierced through the boundless space. The illusory demon ancient tree was close to withering due to the crazy devouring of the three experts. The textless heavenly book was the nemesis of the illusory demon ancient tree. Almost 99% of the tree's power had been devoured by the textless heavenly book. Ling Xiao could see that the golden light enveloping the wordless heavenly book was close to perfection. Countless ancient runes filled the air, as though it was about to manifest another earth-shattering supreme secret technique. Ling Xiao did not notice the changes in the wordless heavenly book. He was completely immersed in the Tao-comprehending realm. Ling Xiao felt as if he had transformed into a supreme true dragon, hovering between the heavens and earth of the ancient world. He slaughtered gods and demons, and dominated the heavens. The myriad of worlds were praising his brilliance. The spirit of a dragon, the majesty of a dragon, the mystery of a dragon, the attack of a dragon, the nobility of a dragon. All of these had merged into Ling Xiao's body, becoming a part of his bone marrow, becoming an eternal and indestructible characteristic of his primordial spirit. Boom! In the end, the golden dragon formed by the true dragon pearl directly exploded in the void. It was like the explosion of a sun. Endless divine light swept in all directions. Countless runes filled the golden dragon, and multicolored light illuminated the sky. Streams of incomparably mysterious aura merged into Ling Xiao's body, causing his body to become stronger and stronger. Moreover, there was an extreme tearing pain. Ling Xiao felt as if his body was being crushed into powder. Roar! In the end, all the pain transformed into an enormous dragon roar that shook the heavens and the earth. Ling Xiao had actually transformed into an enormous golden dragon. It was 30 kilometers long, and it tore through space. Its scales were peerlessly sharp, and its dragon pressure was vast and mysterious. It caused the entire palace to start trembling. The space in the surroundings started to tremble violently as if it was on the verge of being unable to endure the strength of Ling Xiao's body, and then it suddenly exploded apart. He could tear space apart and control the energy of the heavens and the earth by relying solely on the strength of his body. This was the heavenly dragon body. After he broke through to the heavenly dragon body, the secret technique of the ancestral dragon had finally started to erupt with its peerless might of slaughter. It was monstrous, terrifying, and capable of suppressing all enemies. This fellow has actually transformed into a dragon. If it wasn't for the fact that my injuries haven't healed, I would even want to cultivate the secret technique of the ancestral dragon. The old goat opened his eyes wide, and they were filled with extreme surprise and envy. Just this peerless physique of a dragon is sufficient to crush monarch realm experts and sweep through all opponents. Taoist Wu Yang praised as well. At this moment, Ling Xiao was hovering in the air while chaotic energy coiled around him. He was like an eternal and indestructible divine mountain that was heavy, majestic, and capable of suppressing everything. Both the old goat and Taoist Wu Yang couldn't help but exclaim in admiration at the terrifying energy and blood emanating from him. 10th level monarch realm cultivation and the heavenly dragon body. What do I have to fear as long as I don't encounter an exalt? Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes. It was as if two divine suns had instantly appeared in the sky and were emanating dazzling rays of light. Boom! Light flashed around Ling Xiao, and he instantly transformed into a handsome young man. He was dressed in white and had black hair, and he was peerlessly handsome and in high spirits. At this moment, the illusory demon tree had been completely devoured by the wordless heavenly tome. Only an enormous trunk was left behind, and it was suffused with dazzling light. Crack! The old goat instantly shattered the trunk with a stomp of his hoof, and 36 dazzling illusory demon tree cores appeared from within. Each of the illusory demon tree cores was the size of a human head. They were perfectly round and flawless, bright and dazzling like a full moon, exuding boundless vitality. These are the illusory demon tree cores in the growth period. These are all good stuff, comparable to supreme sacred medicine. Each of them can extend one's life by 1,000 years, and they can even transform one's body. Taoist Wu Yang's eyes lit up. Ha ha ha. With these illusory demon tree cores, my Tao injury can finally be healed. The old goat was the most excited. He had suffered a Tao injury, and he needed the Great Path Order to heal it. The illusory demon tree cores contained some mysterious supreme order that would be extremely beneficial to the old goat's Tao injury. Ling Xiao, I only need 10 illusory demon tree cores. Once I've healed my Tao injury, I'll definitely visit those who ambushed me one by one. Even if they're dead, I'll drag them out and whip their corpses. The old goat exclaimed excitedly. His Tao injury had already partially healed, and these illusory demon tree cores were enough to completely heal his Tao injury. I only need 3. Taoist Wu Yang chuckled. He did not stand on ceremony with Ling Xiao, and directly took 3 illusory demon tree cores. Ling Xiao, the outside world must be in chaos right now. The crown prince of the ancient kingdom of Azure Dragon and the human emperor have both been possessed by the extraterrestrial demons. A great battle might have already broken out. Let's go out and take a look, then find a place to cultivate in seclusion. The old goat urged. Ling Xiao smiled and said, Don't be hasty. Let me refine this divine king palace first. Chapter 541. That's right. The divine realm in the divine stone is actually a small world that is being nurtured. It is the prototype of a world created by the illusory demonic ancient tree in the chaos. However, the Scarlet Dragon War God built the Divine King Palace here and sealed the illusory demonic ancient tree here for 1,000,000 years. Ling Xiao sighed softly and said slowly. It turned out that when Ling Xiao cut out the demon sealing scroll from the goddess stone, the information in the demon sealing scroll allowed Ling Xiao to understand the origin of this celestial stone. In other words, this was not a simple ancient stone but had been refined into a spatial treasure by the Scarlet Dragon War God. The divine realm in the divine stone was actually the prototype of a world created by the illusory demonic ancient tree. The Scarlet Dragon War God suppressed the illusory demonic ancient tree and countless extraterrestrial demons in the divine stone and built the divine king palace and the path to heaven. The reason why one could comprehend the Tao outside the divine stone was because the divine stone suppressed the illusory demonic ancient tree and the extraterrestrial demons' power of laws and turned them into nourishment for the genius's cultivation to advance by leaps and bounds. It could also be said that the divine stone was indeed a trial ground. The sealed demon scroll was a backup plan prepared by the Scarlet Dragon War God. In case the illusory demon ancient tree and the heavenly demons escaped, he could use the sealed demon scroll to completely suppress them. What? This divine stone is a treasure left for the ancient kingdom of Azure Dragon? It seems that the ancient kingdom of Azure Dragon is most likely the descendant of the Scarlet Dragon War God. Otherwise, the Scarlet Dragon War God would not have left such a treasure. The old goat slowly said. After listening to Ling Xiao, he and Taoist Wuliang finally understood the origin of the divine stone. The divine stone did not contain the Scarlet Dragon War God's inheritance, but it was a trial ground. Whether it was the path to heaven or the divine stone, they were all opportunities left by the Scarlet Dragon War God for the ancient kingdom of Azure Dragon. The Scarlet Dragon War God was a character from 1,000,000 years ago. I didn't expect the extraterrestrial demons to escape and seize the bodies of Yu Yui and the Azure Dragon Human King. However, a treasure that can contain a mature world should be a legendary supreme divine weapon. Taoist Wuliang's eyes lit up. Although this chaotic world was still in its embryonic form, as long as Ling Xiao refined the celestial stone and took control of this supreme treasure, he would be able to become the master of this world and possess the complete world laws. Not only would this greatly benefit Ling Xiao's martial arts cultivation, but it would also serve as the foundation for establishing a sect in the future. It had to be known that those powerful martial holy lands had all opened up their own minor worlds. However, those minor worlds weren't complete and their laws were incomplete. They could only be considered ordinary spaces attached to the War God continent. However, in Ling Xiao's hand, there was a complete prototype of a world. Do you already know how to refine Empyrean Divine Stone? The old goat looked at Ling Xiao with anticipation in his eyes. Of course. Ling Xiao smiled and remembered the 16 ancient characters outside the godly king's palace. Although the phantom tree had tampered with them, they still contained the secrets left behind by Scarlet Dragon War God. Peerless blood, indestructible battle soul, true dragon fate, and the inheritance of the divine king. The inheritance of the divine king here was to inherit the godly king's palace and become the master of the divine realm, completely refining the Empyrean divine stone. Since Ling Xiao had obtained the recognition of the 16 ancient characters, it meant that Ling Xiao had become the master of this world. Wang! With a thought, the stone tablet outside the godly king's palace flew towards Ling Xiao. The 16 ancient characters emitted a dazzling light. However, the traces left behind by the phantom tree on the stone tablet had been completely removed. Ling Xiao kept the stone tablet in his sea of consciousness and began refining it with the power of his primordial spirit. This stone tablet was the core of the entire divine realm. As long as he refined the stone tablet, he would be able to completely control the divine realm. After obtaining the recognition of the 16 ancient characters, Ling Xiao refined the stone tablet almost instantly. Rumble. The entire divine realm was filled with chaos and clouds. Clear air rose to the sky and turbid air sank to the ground. Heaven and earth were separated, yin and yang circulated, and the 5 elements evolved. Mountains, rivers, and continents gradually took shape. The scene of the creation of heaven and earth appeared before Ling Xiao. At this moment, Ling Xiao was like a god of creation. With a thought, the entire divine realm began to evolve into a real world. This place can indeed become the foundation of my Changxing sect. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. This world was vast and mysterious. It contained incomparably pure Xiantian qi. If a warrior could cultivate here for a long time, his cultivation would definitely advance by leaps and bounds. However, for countless years, the ancient kingdom of Azure Dragon had not discovered the secret of the divine stone. Instead, it had benefited Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's heart flashed with a trace of understanding. The wordless heavenly book was also a treasure of the Scarlet Dragon war god. Perhaps it was because he had obtained the recognition of the wordless heavenly book that he could control this divine stone. The embryonic form of the world in the divine stone was flawless. Ling Xiao was amazed that the phantom tree could nurture such a perfect world. In his previous life, although there was a small world in Ling Xiao's longevity ring, it was not perfect and did not have a complete world order. With a complete world order, the value of this divine stone was beyond imagination. If it was exposed, those supreme being experts would probably go crazy and come to snatch it. I'll leave the divine stone in the ancient kingdom of Azure Dragon first. I'll find an opportunity to take it away. I've already refined the divine stone. No one can enter the divine realm anymore. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. His eyes flashed with a trace of radiance. In this divine realm assembly, Ling Xiao was the one who had gained the most. Not only did he devour the phantom tree, but he also obtained the divine stone, a supreme treasure. That's right. When the ancient kingdom of Azure Dragon finds out that the divine stone is gone, they'll have nowhere to cry. But they must be in a mess now. They probably won't have time to care about the divine stone. The old goat said with a smile. We can go out now. If the Azure Dragon human emperor goes crazy and erupts with his supreme being aura, I'm afraid no one can stop him. And Ling Xiao ruined his plans. I'm afraid he won't let us go. Taoist Wuliang's eyes showed a trace of seriousness. The Azure Dragon human emperor? If he goes crazy, I'm afraid there will be rivers of blood outside. Let's go out and take a look. The old goat thought for a while and his face turned solemn. A supreme being experts might shook the world and swept across the land. It was not something that an ordinary warrior could contend against. Ling Xiao descended from the void. There was a trace of sharpness in his eyes. He sneered and said, I don't know if the Azure Dragon human emperor has gone crazy. But are the Nantian family and the Star Palace planning to repay kindness with ingratitude? They have already surrounded the divine stone. Are they planning to take action the moment we come out? Chapter 542. Ling Xiao told the old goat and Taoist Wuliang what happened outside the god's stone. They were furious too. Nantian family and Star Palace are still thinking of biting the hand that feeds them. They must be after your treasures. The old goat said coldly. If so, let's go out and kill them. Taoist Wuliang's eyes glinted. Ling Xiao's gaze moved slightly and said, so South Sky Ju and Star Emperor came when the Green Dragon human emperor went mad. The two of them besieged the Green Dragon human emperor, but I don't know where they are now. No wonder Nantian family and Star Palace were so arrogant. They had the support of two supremes. When we get out, if they dare to attack, we'll kill them. If the supremes attack, we'll hide in the god's stone and leave. We'll take our revenge after we reach the supremes. Ling Xiao's face was filled with murderous intent. Apparently, he was really angry because of what South Sky Ju and the others did. However, if it really came to that, the god's stone would be exposed. Even if the god's stone was a supreme divine weapon that could take Ling Xiao and the others away, the supremes of the martial Dao sanctuary would be alerted. They would chase after Ling Xiao and there would be no place for him to stay. That was the worst-case scenario. Ling Xiao didn't want to expose the god's stone unless he had no other choice. Alright, let's go. Ling Xiao and the other two left the heavenly god realm in a flash and appeared outside the heavenly god stone. Ling Xiao is out. Catch him. Ling Xiao, the old goat and Taoist Wuliang appeared at the same time and shocked everyone. Nantian Sword's eyes lit up as he pointed at Ling Xiao. Rumble. Dozens of Nantian family experts, all of whom were in the martial monarch realm, emitted an extremely powerful aura. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent as they grabbed at Ling Xiao. "You're courting death." Ling Xiao's eyes flashed coldly. His body was filled with boundless dragon power, as if a real dragon was roaring in the sky. A violent and terrifying power exploded. Ling Xiao threw a punch and the golden light was dazzling, illuminating the heaven and earth. This was the first time Ling Xiao had used his full physical strength after he cultivated the body of the heavenly dragon. Ling Xiao's arm seemed to have transformed into a true dragon that could move unhindered in the world. That power that could suppress everything caused the faces of the experts from the Nantian family to change. Crack! The golden lightning exploded, shattering the true Kang shields of the Nantian family's experts. The sound of bones breaking could be heard, accompanied by miserable screams. The emperors were sent flying by Ling Xiao's punch. Blood spurted from their mouths as they smashed into the ground in the distance. More than 10 emperors were actually heavily injured by Ling Xiao's punch. The power of a single punch was so great. The scene was dead silent. Everyone was stunned by the scene in front of them. How is this possible? Southern Sky Sword's mouth was full of bitterness. His eyes almost popped out. Ling Xiao's fist swept through the heaven and earth. It was so overbearing that even he felt the threat of death. South Celestial Venerable's eyes were also filled with shock. Originally, in his eyes, Ling Xiao was an ant that he could casually crush. However, after coming out of the Celestial Stone, Ling Xiao actually burst forth with such terrifying combat strength. He must have obtained a supreme opportunity and inheritance from the heavenly god stone. Fear and jealousy appeared in South Celestial Venerable's eyes. When he thought of the wordless heavenly book on Ling Xiao, his heart burned with even more passion. "Everyone, let's attack together and kill him. Ling Xiao is merely in the noble realm. It's impossible for him to have such terrifying combat strength. He must have been possessed by the extraterrestrial demon. Kill Ling Xiao and all his treasures and supreme inheritance will belong to everyone." South Celestial Venerable said coldly as he pointed at Ling Xiao. His eyes were filled with chilling killing intent. Everyone was stunned for a moment before coming to a realization. That's right. He must have been possessed by the extraterrestrial demon. Ling Xiao can't injure more than 10 emperors with a single punch. Everyone, let's attack together. Let's get rid of this evil for the people of the War God continent. Greedy Wolf Star Child and the others from the Star Palace also pointed at Ling Xiao and said coldly. "Fuck your grandmother's bullshit." Old Goat was furious. He pointed at South Celestial Venerable and Greedy Wolf's noses and scolded, "I can testify that Ling Xiao wasn't possessed by the extraterrestrial demon. You two bastards are ungrateful and shameless. Aren't you just after Ling Xiao's treasures? Why do you have to make up such a lie? If I had known, I would have let you bastards be possessed by the extraterrestrial demon. This old goat and that stinky Taoist must have been possessed by the extraterrestrial demon too. Don't listen to them. Attack together and kill them." South Sky Sword pointed at Old Goat and Taoist Wuliang and scolded them. His eyes were filled with chilling killing intent. "Bastard, how dare you slander me? You're courting death." Murderous intent flashed across Old Goat's eyes. He spat out a golden flame from his mouth. It emitted a terrifying wave that could burn the heavens and earth. It instantly enveloped South Sky Sword. The devouring heaven fire could burn everything. South Sky Sword's expression changed drastically. He quickly activated his defensive Taoist artifact to block the attack. However, the devouring heaven fire was too powerful. His entire body started burning instantly. Whether it was his clothes or his defensive Taoist artifact, they were all burning crazily. "Ah! Big brother, save me," South Sky Sword screamed like a pig being slaughtered. His skin was torn and his flesh was exposed. He was enduring endless pain. "Bastard!" Nan Tianqi's expression changed drastically. he didn't expect Old Goat to attack without warning. Moreover, South Sky Sword was very close to Old Goat. Even he didn't have time to react. Boom! Nan Tianqi spat out an extremely cold air from his hand. He wanted to extinguish the devouring heaven fire on South Sky Sword. However, a white mist rose. Not only did it not extinguish the devouring heaven fire, but it also made the flames on South Sky Sword burn even more fiercely. If he wants to extinguish this emperor's true devouring fire, unless a supreme being descends, he's dead meat. The old goat sneered. Nan Tianqi's expression was very ugly. Not only was he unable to extinguish the devouring heaven fire, but a trace of the devouring heaven fire had also spread to his palm. It seemed to be very intelligent and started burning fiercely. Swoosh! Nan Tianqi's eyes revealed a trace of fierceness. He slashed down with his saber and cut off his arm. His arm instantly turned into ashes. South Sky Sword didn't seem to be able to survive. His screams became softer and softer. In the end, he was also burned into ashes. You're courting death. South Celestial Venerable was instantly enraged. His eyes were filled with blazing murderous intent. South Sky Sword was enveloped by the devouring heaven fire and was burned into ashes in an instant. Even Nan Tianqi couldn't do anything about it. Naturally, he couldn't do anything either. Chapter 543. He was indifferent by nature, so he didn't feel much heartache when Nantian's sword was burned to death. What he cared more about was that Nantian's sword being burned to death was simply a slap to his face. The humiliation made him want to tear Ling Xiao and the other two into pieces. Everyone from Nantian family, listen up. Kill them. Nan Tianqi and Nan Tianzuan took the lead. They gave off a terrifying aura and were about to kill Ling Xiao and the other two. People from Star Palace, follow me to kill the demon. The three stars, Qi Sha, Pa Jun and Tan Lang sneered and led the experts from Star Palace to besiege Ling Xiao. Stop! Whoever dares to touch Ling Xiao will be my enemy. Ling Xiao is the benefactor of Sword God Pavilion. Whoever dares to touch him, don't blame me for being merciless. I, Xiong Laohe, can't stand people who bully the weak and fear the strong. Little brother Ling is my friend. Get lost. Three thunderous voices were heard. Granny Gue, Jian Bummy, and Xiong Laohe stood up and led Moon Palace, Sword God Pavilion, and some demon kings and demon royal experts to confront them. The remaining people had subtle expressions. If Ling Xiao was at a disadvantage, they wouldn't mind adding insult to injury and getting a share of the action. However, both sides seemed to be evenly matched. They were smart enough to choose to remain neutral. Granny Gue, Elder Jian, and Elder Xiong, Ling Xiao and the other two have been possessed by the extraterrestrial demon and have become demons. They will bring disaster to the entire War God continent. If you stop me from killing him, are you trying to make the entire War God continent your enemy? Nan Tianzuan's eyes flashed coldly as he stared at the three half-step supreme beings without backing down. Make the entire War God continent my enemy? Hee hee, little guy, you can't scare me. I can't tell that Ling Xiao has been possessed by the extraterrestrial demon. Before we can confirm that he has been possessed, no one is allowed to touch him. Granny Gue sneered and the aura of a half-step supreme being exploded. It was cold and gloomy, as though it was going to freeze everything. She didn't back down at all. That's right. Unless we can confirm that young friend Ling has been possessed by the extraterrestrial demon, the Sword God Pavilion will not interfere. Otherwise, you are not allowed to touch him. Jian Bummy said coldly. Sword will rose around him. It was pure and sharp, as if it was going to tear the void apart. Hee hee, I, Xiong Laohe, can't stand ungrateful people like you. If it wasn't for Ling Xiao, you would have died in the heavenly god realm. Now, you still have the face to repay kindness with enmity. You're worse than pigs and dogs, and you're even worse than us demons. Xiong Laohe didn't give any face to the Nantian family and the Star Palace at all. He sneered and ridiculed them. Instantly, the people from the two sanctuaries glared at him angrily. Ling Xiao had saved so many genius experts. This was something that couldn't be denied at all. They only dared to target Ling Xiao because he had been possessed by the extraterrestrial demon under the guise of vanquishing the demon. Otherwise, if the news of them biting the hand that fed them spread, the two holy lands would lose a great deal of face and be despised by others. Celestial Venerable Nan's gaze turned cold, but he regained his composure immediately. He said indifferently, "It's simple to prove if Ling Xiao was possessed by the extraterrestrial demon. Soul search. As long as Ling Xiao releases his primordial spirit and lets me check his consciousness, it'll be clear." Soul search. The moment Celestial Venerable Nan said that, Ling Xiao's gaze turned cold. The old goat and Taoist Wuyang almost jumped up and scolded. The primordial spirit was the foundation of a martial artist. Even the closest relatives couldn't check, let alone a group of enemies. Once Ling Xiao released his primordial spirit, he wouldn't have any secrets. By then, the secret of his rebirth and the secret of the wordless heaven book would be exposed. Plus, Ling Xiao knew that Celestial Venerable Nan didn't have good intentions. His motive was the wordless heaven book. How could Ling Xiao agree to it? Brother Nantian is right. As long as we perform the soul search, the truth will be revealed. Ling Xiao, if you don't dare to perform the soul search, it means that you're hiding something. Tan Lang said coldly as he looked at Ling Xiao. The old goat couldn't hold it in any longer. He jumped out and scolded, "I'll search your mother's head. What right do you have to perform the soul search? I even suspect that you've been possessed by an extraterrestrial demon. Your entire family has been possessed by an extraterrestrial demon. Bring your father, mother, uncle, grandmother, third uncle, and niece here to perform the soul search. As long as you're willing, we're willing. Do you dare to do it or not?" The old goat scolded Celestial Venerable Nan, Tan Lang, and the others. Their eyes flashed coldly and their killing intent seemed to materialize. This old goat's mouth was too cheap. He didn't choose his words carefully. Even the most cultured person would go berserk after hearing that. They would want to skin him alive and pull out his tendons. The moon deity also said coldly, "That's right. The primordial spirit is the foundation of a martial artist. What right do you have to perform the soul search? If you don't dare to perform the soul search, it means that you're hiding something. Plus, Ling Xiao is only in the noble realm. How could he have such powerful combat power? He must have been possessed by an extraterrestrial demon." Tan Lang said with a sneer. "Ling Xiao, I advise you to reveal your true form. Everyone here is the prodigies of the war god continent. You can't escape." Celestial Venerable Nan looked at Ling Xiao indifferently. "Ha ha ha," Ling Xiao suddenly laughed out loud. His eyes were filled with mockery and disdain. "Subdue the demon. Nantian aristocratic family in Star Palace. Aren't you guys worried that I've obtained the Divine King's inheritance in the Divine Stone? How could you do such a thing to repay kindness with ingratitude? How disgusting. However, since you guys said that I've been possessed by an extraterrestrial demon, I'll prove it to you." Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a cold smile. A pill the size of a baby's fist appeared in his hand. It was round and simple and emitted a mysterious fluctuation of law. Dao rhymes intertwined and golden clouds shrouded it. Blood qi was as vigorous as the sea. It was the blood origin supreme pill. The life of an extraterrestrial demon is different from the life of the war god continent. They are repelled by the law of heaven and earth. Even if the life of the war god continent is possessed by an extraterrestrial demon, they wouldn't dare to touch the power of law of the war god continent. Otherwise, they would immediately reveal their true form. This blood origin supreme pill contains the supreme law. If I'm possessed by an extraterrestrial demon after I swallow the blood origin supreme pill, I'll immediately reveal my true form. If I'm fine, it means that I haven't been possessed at all." Ling Xiao looked at the crowd indifferently and said, "What a joke. This method of identifying an extraterrestrial demon is unheard of. Who knows if you've done anything to it? Tan Lang sneered. That's right. A mere pill can't prove anything. Unless you accept the soul search, you're guilty. Chapter 544. Zhenbao Pavilion's great elder Qintong's eyes lit up and he said, I remember now. Young friend Ling is right. Consuming the supreme elixir is the best way to check if he is possessed by the extraterrestrial demon. The power of law in the supreme elixir can tell if he is an extraterrestrial demon or not. Jian Bumi nodded and said, that's right. I remember too. In the ancient records of Sword God Pavilion, during the calamity 10,000 years ago, when the extraterrestrial demon invaded, there were also extraterrestrial demons who wanted to possess the living beings in this world. In the end, we used the supreme elixir to tell the difference. Many old monsters nodded their heads. Such a method did exist and it was extremely effective. Even if consuming the supreme elixir can tell if he is possessed, who knows if he tampered with the blood origin supreme elixir? Tan Lang said with a sneer. Ling Xiao said indifferently, this blood origin supreme elixir was cut out from an ancient stone. Its medicinal efficacy is well preserved. Seniors can check it. But what I want to say is, what if I can prove that I am not possessed by the extraterrestrial demon? Then I'll spare your life. South Holy Master said coldly. Ha ha ha. If I can prove that I am not possessed by the extraterrestrial demon, you will be biting the hand that feeds you. You will be ungrateful. You shameless people will all die. Ling Xiao sneered and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. He hated the Star Palace and Nantian family to the extreme. If it wasn't for them stirring up trouble, how could there be so many things happening? Let me check the blood origin supreme elixir for young friend Ling. Zhenbao Pavilion's great elder and many old monsters took the blood origin supreme elixir and checked it. In the end, they proved that it wasn't tampered with. Ling Xiao took it over and swallowed it directly. Boom! The majestic power of qi and blood erupted from the blood origin supreme pellet, increasing the strength of Ling Xiao's body by a little. The vast dragon's power pervaded the air, making his heavenly dragon body even more powerful. But what disappointed the Nantian family and Star Palace was that Ling Xiao wasn't possessed by the extraterrestrial demon. South Holy Master's gaze instantly turned gloomy. In that case, he had no excuse to attack Ling Xiao. No, there was still one more chance. A battle of life and death. Killing intent flashed in South Celestial Venerable's eyes. He looked coldly at Ling Xiao and said, very good. Since you weren't possessed by the otherworldly demons, it's the fortune of the War God continent. However, you killed my little brother, Southern Sky Sword. Ling Xiao, you will still die today. After saying that, South Celestial Venerable looked at everyone and said, everyone, this is a personal grudge between my Nantian clan and Ling Xiao. I hope that everyone won't interfere. South Celestial Venerable, I've never seen someone as shameless as you. You're a bitch and you still want to build a monument to your chastity. Why don't you say that you want to repay Ling Xiao for saving your life? The old goat sneered, his eyes filled with disdain. That's right. Southern Celestial Venerable, even if the Southern Sky Sword was killed by the old goat, it was still your slander. If it wasn't for Ling Xiao saving you, all of you would have died inside the Celestial Divine Stone. Moon God looked coldly at South Celestial Venerable. The heir of the Sword God's pavilion spoke as well, South Celestial Venerable, don't go too far. The dignified Nantian clan is ungrateful. Do you want everyone on the War God continent to laugh at you? South Celestial Venerable spoke coldly, don't worry, this is a personal grudge between me and Ling Xiao. The Nantian clan won't interfere. Moreover, I have a life and death battle with Ling Xiao. I'll fight him today regardless of life and death. South Celestial Venerable emanated a peerlessly powerful aura, and his cultivation at the 6th level of the Monarch realm was clearly revealed. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he stared fixedly at Ling Xiao. I have to kill Ling Xiao and take the wordless heavenly scripture. South Celestial Venerable made up his mind. A life and death battle. Everyone was stunned when they heard South Celestial Venerable mention a life and death battle. Ling Xiao had agreed to it himself, so they didn't have any reason to plead on his behalf even if they wanted to. South Celestial Venerable, don't make so many excuses. If you want to die, then I'll fulfill your wish. Only one of us can live today. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered with a sharp light. Disregarding the enmity between Ling Xiao and the Nantian clan, just the fact that South Celestial Venerable coveted the wordless heavenly scripture was enough for him to die. Ling Xiao was filled with questions. He didn't know why South Celestial Venerable could recognize the wordless heavenly scripture. Ling Xiao, kill this bastard for me. That shameless bastard. The old goat pointed at South Celestial Venerable and spoke fiercely. That's right. Ling Xiao, slap his face and kill him. Daoist Wuyang was infuriated by South Celestial Venerable's shamelessness as well. Both the old goat and Daoist Wuyang knew how terrifying Ling Xiao was. While South Celestial Venerable was strong, how could he compare to Ling Xiao? So, in their opinion, there was no suspense at all in this battle. On the other hand, Moon Goddess, the successor of the Sword God's Pavilion, Jian Bumi, Xiong Laohe, and the others revealed extremely worried expressions. They could see that Ling Xiao had defeated over a dozen monarchs with a single punch. He was indeed very strong, and he probably obtained some sort of fortuitous encounter within the heavenly stone. However, Ling Xiao's cultivation was only in the noble realm, after all. The gap between him and South Celestial Venerable was too great. Over the years, South Celestial Venerable's battle achievements were shocking. He had practically swept through his peers and shocked the north of the War God continent. Even 9th-level monarchs weren't his match. Ling Xiao was probably going to lose this battle. However, Ling Xiao was so determined that they couldn't persuade him anymore. Let's fight. South Celestial Venerable's eyes blazed as his monarch realm cultivation erupted. It was as if heaven and earth were collapsing. Boundless divine light rippled out as an ancient and mysterious stone gate rose behind him. The stone gate seemed to be a supreme divine object that suppressed the primal chaos. It emitted a terrifying aura that was thick and powerful as it swept across the sky and suppressed Ling Xiao. This is the Nantian clan's supreme ability, the Southern Heavenly Gate. Someone exclaimed, and a trace of shock appeared in his eyes. They didn't expect South Celestial Venerable to directly use the power of the Southern Heavenly Gate. Legend had it that the Southern Heavenly Gate was the door to the ancient Heavenly Court, and the Nantian clan had an extremely mysterious connection with the ancient Heavenly Court. Once the Southern Heavenly Gate appeared, the heavens would retreat and suppress all enemies. The ancient Southern Heavenly Gate swept through the void. South Celestial Venerable wanted to end the battle quickly and completely kill Ling Xiao to snatch the wordless heavenly book from him. Thinking about the mysteries of the wordless heavenly book, South Celestial Venerable's heart burned with passion. Boom! The Southern Heavenly Gate suppressed the heavens and the earth. It was ancient and mysterious. Blazing rays of light filled the air as lines of ancient runes intertwined with each other. It was as if a sea of lightning was descending. The terrifying power caused many old monsters to reveal serious expressions. Would Ling Xiao be able to withstand this attack? Kill! Ling Xiao's expression was cold. He only spat out a single word as he punched out at the Southern Heavenly Gate. Boom! Shocking lightning exploded and golden light filled the air. In the vast void, Ling Xiao seemed to have transformed into a supreme heavenly dragon. His vital energy and blood soared, and his fist light was like a sun in the void. It was peerlessly terrifying. Chapter 545. Crack. Ling Xiao's speed was so fast that everyone could only see a terrifying divine light exploding in the void. The dragon's aura filled the air and the dragon's roar shook the heavens. The invincible Southern Heaven Gate was shattered by Ling Xiao. It was as if a divine sun had exploded. Countless runes erupted and terrifying fluctuations swept out in all directions. Many geniuses with weaker cultivations felt as if they had been struck by lightning. They suddenly spat out mouthfuls of blood and rapidly retreated. What? Everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief. At this moment, Ling Xiao seemed to have transformed into an ancient true dragon. That monstrous and ferocious aura caused everyone to tremble. Especially Xiong Laohe and the other great demons. The true dragon's aura suppressed them the most. Their eyes were filled with fear. No one expected Ling Xiao's punch to be so terrifying that it could shatter the southern heaven gate. Above the void. South Celestial Venerable's expression changed drastically. He only realized how terrifying Ling Xiao's physical body was when Ling Xiao shattered the southern heaven gate. Faint ripples appeared in the surrounding void as though it would shatter at any moment. An unparalleled fist mark accompanied by blazing golden light blasted towards South Celestial Venerable. South Celestial Venerable couldn't dodge and could only strike with his palm. He exploded with all his cultivation and took Ling Xiao's attack head-on. Boom! South Celestial Venerable was instantly sent flying by Ling Xiao. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. The peerless martial arts of the dragon race. How do you know the martial arts of the dragon race? How are you so strong? South Celestial Venerable's eyes were filled with shock. Ling Xiao seemed to have really become a member of the dragon race. His physical body was too terrifying. It was as though an immemorial divine beast had awakened. That majestic aura swept through everything. Again. Ling Xiao ignored South Celestial Venerable. His eyes were filled with battle intent and an even more terrifying power rose. Ling Xiao stepped into the void and countless runes enveloped him. The Violent Dragon Divine ability was unleashed. The Violent Dragon Divine ability unleashed 16 times the power of the Heavenly Dragon physique. Rumble. The world seemed to be unable to withstand Ling Xiao's aura, and it began to rumble and tremble. Ling Xiao's aura skyrocketed rapidly, as if it had the power to break open the world and shatter the vacuum. Ling Xiao's eyes were as sharp as blades, cold and emotionless. He looked at South Celestial Venerable and punched. Crack. The void trembled violently where the fist print enveloped. A black crack appeared and suppressed South Celestial Venerable with unparalleled power of space. What? South Celestial Venerable's expression changed greatly. He didn't expect that punch to be far from Ling Xiao's limit. At this moment, the aura emitted from Ling Xiao's body made him tremble uncontrollably. He felt the threat of death. Heavenly Venerable Dharma Idol, Nantian Ancestral Soul, suppress. South Celestial Venerable went completely mad. He felt that he had miscalculated, but the more he miscalculated, the stronger his greed for the wordless heavenly book became. He knew that Ling Xiao's earth-shattering martial arts must have come from the wordless heavenly book. As long as he killed Ling Xiao, the wordless heavenly book would be his. Rumble. Behind South Celestial Venerable, divine light shone brightly as the laws of order intertwined. Endless chaotic mist rose, and a terrifying figure that looked down on everything walked out. It was enveloped in a noble purple aura, like a heavenly venerable. This was the heavenly venerable Dharma idol formed by South Celestial Venerable. It represented all of South Celestial Venerable's comprehension of the origin of martial arts. 64 bright stars surrounded the heavenly venerable Dharma idol. They instantly burned, and a force that made the heavens and earth tremble rushed into the sky. The heavenly venerable Dharma idol stepped forward and pressed down with its palm. Looks like we really misjudged him. Could it be that young friend Ling is really a member of the Dragon Clan? He can unleash such terrifying combat power as a noble and forced out South Celestial Venerable's heavenly venerable Dharma idol with just 2 punches. The first elder of the precious treasure pavilion sighed, and his eyes were filled with shock. Only someone from the dragon tribe has such a terrifying physical body, right? However, the heavenly venerable Dharma idol has gathered the power of laws of 64 great superpowers. Its power is unparalleled and can suppress everything. It won't be easy for Ling Xiao to win. Jian Bumi also said slowly. Ling Xiao and South Celestial Venerable had such terrifying combat power. Those who had mocked Ling Xiao before all disappeared. Everyone was stunned as they watched the peerless battle in the void. No one could guess the result of this battle. Everyone was waiting for the result of this battle. In the battle between Ling Xiao and South Celestial Venerable, those so-called peerless geniuses were all overshadowed. Rumble. The heavens and earth changed color. The power of the heavenly venerable Dharma idol shrouded the sky and covered the radiance of the sun. That palm seemed to turn the heavens and earth upside down, enveloping all living things within it. The heavenly venerable Dharma idol was like a supreme heavenly venerable that controlled the heavenly Tao. It was cold, powerful, and eternal. Ling Xiao's fist was wrapped in monstrous divine power. It used force to break all laws and collided with the heavenly venerable Dharma idol. The void instantly shattered. A huge crack like a heavenly river swallowed all the divine light. Ling Xiao was like a peerless true dragon. The terrifying fist print lit up the endless darkness and finally landed on the heavenly venerable Dharma idol. Crack! The heavenly venerable Dharma idol trembled violently and finally exploded. It turned into countless gorgeous light rain and illuminated South Celestial Venerable's disbelieving gaze. Boom! Ling Xiao's fist landed on South Celestial Venerable's chest. Boundless divine light exploded from his body. In the end, all his clothes were destroyed, revealing a purple battle armor. It flowed with gorgeous divine light and instantly blocked Ling Xiao's attack. Although South Celestial Venerable was sent flying by Ling Xiao, he still managed to block the punch. Supreme weapon. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could feel that the purple battle armor on South Celestial Venerable was actually a supreme weapon. It flowed with an invincible, mysterious, and majestic aura. It was like a peerless supreme that eliminated all attacks. It's not a complete supreme weapon. It's only a pseudo-supreme weapon, starlight filled Ling Xiao's eyes. He could see that the purple battle armor on South Celestial Venerable was incomplete. The power of laws wasn't complete. It wasn't a true supreme weapon. After all, supreme weapons were extremely terrifying. Even supreme being experts couldn't easily forge supreme weapons. Supreme beings who didn't know how to forge weapons had to use their own power of laws to nurture their weapons for thousands of years before they could forge a supreme weapon. In the entire War God continent, supreme weapons were extremely rare. However, even a pseudo-supreme weapon was very impressive. It actually blocked Ling Xiao's killing blow. Ling Xiao believed that South Celestial Venerable wouldn't have been able to block his punch without the purple battle armor. Ling Xiao, you deserve to die. With the protection of the purple Qilin armor, you can't break through my defense. You're destined to die today. You'll definitely die. South Celestial Venerable was shocked and furious. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Chapter 546. Boom! Celestial Venerable Nan stood in the air, wearing the purple Qilin armor. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his aura was so violent that it seemed to be able to tear the sky apart. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. He hated Ling Xiao to the extreme, but he also feared him to the extreme. Even though he had overestimated Ling Xiao's combat strength, he realized that he had underestimated Ling Xiao in the real battle. Ling Xiao's violent blood qi, which was like the peerless body of a primordial true dragon, made him even more greedy. Celestial Venerable Nan knew that Ling Xiao must have used a peerless secret technique from the wordless heavenly book. With just 2 punches, he broke the Nantian family's peerless ability, the Nantian Gate, and Celestial Venerable Nan's Celestial Venerable Dharma form. If it wasn't for the purple Qilin armor, Celestial Venerable Nan would have been killed by Ling Xiao's punch. Kill! Ling Xiao looked at Celestial Venerable Nan with a cold gaze. He didn't give Celestial Venerable Nan any chance to retaliate as he charged towards him. Roar! Ling Xiao formed a peerless fist seal. Even though Celestial Venerable Nan was wearing the purple Qilin armor, Ling Xiao wasn't worried at all. As long as it wasn't a true supreme weapon, Ling Xiao was confident that Celestial Venerable Nan wouldn't be able to block his heavenly dragon body. Ling Xiao, go to hell! Celestial Venerable Nan shouted, his eyes filled with cruel murderous intent. Boom! A mysterious aura was emitted from Celestial Venerable Nan's body. It was extremely sharp and contained a saber intent that could destroy everything. It was as if it was going to shatter the sky and annihilate everything. A black broken saber appeared in Celestial Venerable Nan's palm. The black broken saber was dark and mysterious. As soon as it appeared in the air, the terrifying saber intent instantly shattered the surrounding void. What saber is that? Everyone revealed an incomparably terrified expression. Especially those old monsters. Even the half-step supremes felt their scalps tingle. They felt the threat of death, as if a saber light could shatter them into pieces. This terrifying power was comparable to a peerless supreme weapon. However, if a broken saber could unleash the power of a supreme weapon, how terrifying would a complete saber be? Divine weapon. Two words that caused the heavens and earth to tremble, caused the winds to change color, and caused the eyes of all the old monsters to tremble appeared in their hearts. No one had expected South Celestial Venerable to have such a world-shaking weapon. Ling Xiao is dead meat. Tan Lang and the rest looked at the broken saber in South Celestial Venerable's hand with a burning gaze. They all had the same thought. Even a half-step supreme being would die without a doubt when this saber fell. How could Ling Xiao possibly block it? Is this your trump card? A cold glint flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. The threat of death emanated from the broken black saber. It was extremely powerful. Rumble. The broken saber in South Celestial Venerable's hand slashed down. It contained an aura that could destroy the world. The world turned white as if only that peerless saber light was left. A single slash could destroy the world, and this was it. Ling Xiao, be careful. Moon Deity, Old Goat, and Taoist Wu Yang's expressions changed drastically. This saber was too terrifying. It was as if a peerless supreme being had attacked. The peerless suppression and murderous intent made everyone feel helpless. Would Ling Xiao be able to block this attack? Rumble. Ling Xiao's figure didn't change. Monstrous blood energy soared into the sky. However, a black and white brick suddenly appeared in his hand. At this moment, it seemed to have been stimulated by the broken saber. It began to emit yin and yang energy, and a mysterious starlight appeared. In the void, a mysterious phenomenon of a sun and a moon appeared in the sky. Clang! The sound of metal clashing came. The broken saber slashed on the heavenly steel of sun and moon, shooting out thousands of rays of light. Countless runes spewed out and were annihilated. The surrounding void began to shatter like a mirror. Countless spiderwebs appeared. The chaotic mist lingered and shrouded Ling Xiao and South Celestial Venerable. How is this possible? South Celestial Venerable's eyes almost popped out. His eyes were filled with disbelief. This broken saber was his strongest trump card. When he was still a king, he had used this broken saber to kill a half-step supreme being. Its power was unparalleled. However, the brick in Ling Xiao's hand blocked it. Rumble. Ling Xiao didn't give South Celestial Venerable a chance to react. While he was distracted, a terrifying physical strength erupted. The heavenly steel of sun and moon broke the broken saber and slapped South Celestial Venerable's face. Crack! It was as if an immemorial divine mountain was pressing down on him. Even though South Celestial Venerable had the purple Qilin armor, he was still instantly sent flying. Mixed with fresh blood, South Celestial Venerable screamed. His teeth were broken, and half of his face was mangled. He looked extremely miserable. Wordless heavenly book, suppress. Ling Xiao's eyes were extremely cold. As the saying goes, take advantage of the situation. The wordless heavenly book emitted a dazzling divine light. A divine chain of order extended from Ling Xiao's forehead and pressed towards South Celestial Venerable's forehead. Divine saber, block it. South Celestial Venerable felt the threat of death. Ignoring the intense pain on his face, he hurriedly activated the broken saber in his hand, wanting to cut off the divine chain of order between his eyebrows. Buzz! The wordless heavenly book emitted a mysterious light that shone on the broken saber. The broken saber instantly trembled as if it was being suppressed and stopped. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the heaven-devouring sword in his hand flashed. An unparalleled sharpness swept across the sky and chopped off South Celestial Venerable's head. Meanwhile, the wordless heavenly book emitted a mysterious light that devoured South Celestial Venerable's primordial spirit. In the void, the radiance and sharpness intertwined with each other, blocking everyone's senses. Is Ling Xiao dead? Nan Tianqi, Chen Yang, and the other members of the Nantian family were filled with anticipation. Meanwhile, the old goat and Taoist Wu Yang were very nervous and worried. Bang! At this moment, a headless corpse fell from the void. Blood spurted out and dyed the sky red. When everyone saw the headless corpse, they were all stunned. South Celestial Venerable. That corpse was actually South Celestial Venerable. Everyone felt like they were in a dream and couldn't believe their eyes. That terrifying slash caused gods and demons to retreat. Everyone thought that Ling Xiao was dead for sure. How could it be South Celestial Venerable who died? Everyone looked at the void abruptly. There, Ling Xiao slowly walked over with an indifferent expression. He held South Celestial Venerable's head in his hand. South Celestial Venerable's eyes widened. His eyes were filled with unwillingness and disbelief. An oppressive and shocking atmosphere enveloped everyone's hearts. Everyone knew that the world was about to change. Chapter 547. As a peerless genius of the Nantian family, South Celestial Venerable was famous throughout the world. He was seen as the most likely person to become a supreme being in the Nantian family in the past 1,000 years. He was also the undisputed successor of the next family head. In the end, he died in Ling Xiao's hands. All of this made everyone feel like they were dreaming. However, the headless corpse and South Celestial Venerable's head in Ling Xiao's hand clearly told them that South Celestial Venerable was indeed dead. Ling Xiao walked down from the void, exuding a powerful aura. His white robe was peerless, and his eyes were sharp. The South Celestial Venerable in his hand died with his eyes wide open. The people of the Nantian clan suddenly shuddered. South Celestial Venerable was dead, and South Tianjue had returned. Perhaps the human emperor who was chasing after Azure Dragon would be back soon. At that time, who would be able to withstand the wrath of the Supreme? Especially Nan Tianqi, who was trembling all over. His eyes were filled with terror. As the great elder of the Nantian family in Heavenly God's city, he was responsible for South Celestial Venerable's death. However, Nan Tianqi also felt wronged. South Celestial Venerable was about to kill Ling Xiao. Who knew the result would be so unexpected? Nan Tianqi shivered and looked at Ling Xiao. His eyes were filled with frenzied killing intent. He roared with a trembling voice, "Ling Xiao, you deserve to die." Boom! A vast and terrifying aura burst out from Nan Tianqi's body. The aura of a mysterious yellow and pure black filled the air. His half-step supreme being cultivation had completely burst out, causing the surrounding people's expression to change. They hurriedly retreated. How dare you kill South Celestial Venerable? How dare you? I will skin you alive and suppress your soul in the 9 underworlds. I will make you beg for death. Nan Tianqi's hatred reached its peak. He slammed his palm toward Ling Xiao. The heaven and earth trembled, and a powerful power of law filled the air. Although a half-step supreme being's full strength wasn't as invincible as a supreme being's, it was still invincible. A joke? He wants to kill me, but I can't kill him. Old man, I think the Nantian family members are used to being overbearing. A cold glint flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes as he threw South Celestial Venerable's head at Nan Tianqi. Nan Tianqi was shocked. He quickly retracted his aura and carefully grabbed South Celestial Venerable's head. However, he suddenly heard a sonic boom. Whoosh! It was a black and white brick, flowing with yin and yang qi. It looked very mysterious. Nan Tianqi's eyes were red, and he slapped it. However, in the next moment, Nan Tianqi felt that something was wrong. The brick unleashed a vast and unparalleled power. It came crashing down like a divine mountain, shattering Nan Tianqi's palm into pieces. Boom! When Nan Tianqi's palm hit the brick, it was as if he had hit a divine mountain. There was a rebounding force that made his arm numb. He was sent flying dozens of feet away. His qi and blood were in turmoil, and a trace of blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. Old man, you won't be so lucky next time. I'll smash your face. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. The heavenly steel of sun and moon was a unique treasure. It wasn't a supreme weapon, but it was more powerful than one. In his previous life, Shang Guanming had slapped many half-step supreme beings to death. Even the real supreme beings were afraid of it. The heavenly steel of sun and moon was very sturdy. That was why it could withstand South Celestial Venerable's mysterious broken saber. Little bastard, die. Nan Tianqi was furious. His eyes were cold as the power of law spread around him. Two rays of yellow and black divine light shot up into the sky and turned into two mysterious divine chains of order. They flew toward Ling Xiao. A half-step supreme with the tribulation of two symbols. He's not easy to deal with. Ling Xiao sighed. His eyes flashed as he used the greater teleportation divine ability. He disappeared from the spot and reappeared hundreds of feet away. However, the two divine chains of order were very intelligent. They pierced through the void and chased after Ling Xiao. They contained the power of law of destruction and were extremely powerful. Boom! Ling Xiao threw out a punch. His physical body was unparalleled. Dragon's aura filled the air. His powerful punch couldn't do anything to the two divine chains of order. Clang! The heavenly steel of sun and moon was thrown out again. The mysterious yin and yang qi circulated. This time, it directly destroyed the two divine chains of order. Then, it flew toward Nan Tianqi. Kill! A black saber appeared in Nan Tianqi's hand. It flowed with a mysterious supreme's aura. It was a quasi-supreme weapon. It flew across the sky and slashed toward the heavenly steel of sun and moon. Nan Tianqi knew how terrifying the heavenly steel of sun and moon was. Therefore, he didn't choose to fight it head-on. Instead, he used the power of law to entangle it. He wanted to take away Ling Xiao's unique treasure. With his half-step supreme vision, he could tell that Ling Xiao didn't recognize him as its master. Boom! The black saber slashed on the heavenly steel of sun and moon. Terrifying divine light exploded. Just as Nan Tianqi was about to take the heavenly steel of sun and moon, Ling Xiao summoned it back with a thought. Everyone, let's kill Ling Xiao together. Kill that old goat and that stinking Taoist. Let's kill them all to avenge our young master. Chen Yang's eyes were red as he roared. Suddenly, the experts of the Nantian family surrounded Ling Xiao. In addition to Nan Tianqi, there were two other half-step supreme experts in the Nantian family. Their auras were extremely terrifying. They rushed toward the old goat and Taoist Wu Yang respectively. Bastards of the Nantian family, come here. I'll kill you all. The old goat sneered. His body was like lightning. In an instant, he appeared behind a middle-aged expert of the Nantian family. Then, he kicked out with his hoof and kicked his head directly. Crack! Blood splattered. The middle-aged expert's head was kicked into his body by the old goat. He didn't even make a sound before he died. Bastard, you're courting death. The half-step supreme expert of the Nantian family was an old man with a malicious face. His eyes flashed coldly. He slapped his palm toward the old goat. The huge palm print was like a divine mountain. It was extremely terrifying. You're the one courting death. The old goat sneered and suddenly spat out a golden flame from his mouth. It crossed the void and turned into a golden lotus. It instantly enveloped the sinister-looking old man. Boom! Blazing flames rose, containing an aura that could incinerate heaven and earth. The old man's expression changed. It was as if he had been electrocuted. He immediately tried to dodge. You think you can dodge? The old goat sneered. His eyes were filled with killing intent. This time, he was completely enraged. Divine light gushed out of his mouth. A golden three-legged, two-eared cauldron flew through the sky. It emitted a dazzling divine light. Runes intertwined on it, and it was filled with boundless heaven-devouring flames. It suppressed the old man. The world around the heaven-devourer cauldron began to tremble violently. In his previous life, Ling Xiao had used the heaven-devourer cauldron to dominate the world. There was nothing it couldn't burn. Chapter 548. Kill. Daoist Wu Yang and another middle-aged half-step supreme martial artist in silver armor were engaged in a great battle. The middle-aged man was surrounded by sword aura. The red flying sword in his hand was emitting a sharp murderous intent. Every time the sword fell, it was as if the Milky Way was reversed. It was extremely terrifying. On the other hand, Daoist Wu Yang had a faint smile on his face. He looked very calm. However, he waved the horsetail whisk in his hand. 3,000 silk threads and mysterious runes flew out and shattered all the sword chi in the surroundings. At the same time, Daoist Wu Yang's palm spat out a mysterious light. It transformed into white, black, yellow, red, and green lightning in the void and blasted towards the middle-aged man. This was the great five elements heavenly thunder. Under Daoist Wu Yang's control, it was as if the heaven and earth were angry. The five elements heavenly thunder descended to exercise the power of heaven's punishment. The middle-aged man was well versed in swordsmanship, so he was restrained by the great five elements heavenly thunder. Lightning filled the sky and surged towards him, making him look extremely miserable. What? Everyone was shocked. Ling Xiao's combat power was so terrifying that it was enough to shock them. What they didn't expect was that the old goat with a foul mouth and the wretched Daoist Wu Yang beside Ling Xiao would have such monstrous battle prowess, suppressing the two half-step supreme beings of the Nantian family. Although they were half-step supreme martial artists who had not gone through the calamity of four symbols, they were far stronger than ordinary emperors. Senior brothers, what should we do? The star son of the Star Palace looked at Qi Sha and Pejun with a cold murderous intent in his eyes. Let's go together. Ask the Supreme Elder and a few great elders to kill Ling Xiao and take the inheritance from him. Qi Sha and Pejun's eyes were filled with greed. At that moment, they were convinced that Ling Xiao must have obtained the supreme inheritance from the divine stone. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to have such insane combat power. Supreme Elder, please kill Ling Xiao for the Star Palace. The star son of the star son of the star son said respectfully to a figure behind him. There were 4 white-haired old men standing there. They were all wearing starry robes. Their auras looked very ordinary, but there seemed to be scenes of stars disappearing in their eyes. This was especially true for the skinny old man in the lead. He was surrounded by 4-colored divine light, and when he opened and closed his eyes, there was a mysterious vision of the world being destroyed. When he stepped out, the world began to tremble. What? A half-step supreme being who has survived the tribulation of 4 symbols. Someone exclaimed in shock. His eyes were filled with shock. If an emperor realm expert wanted to become a supremacy, he would have to go through the tribulations of the 4 symbols of earth, water, wind, and fire. Only then would he be able to condense the 3 flowers above his head and gather the 5 chi in his chest. Only after going through the tribulations of the supremacy could he become a true supremacy. The skinny elder from Star Palace in front of him was actually an expert who had passed through the calamity of 4 symbols. He was only half a step away from becoming a real supreme. This kind of powerhouse was not someone Nan Tianqi could compare to. He possessed a terrifying might that was close to that of a supreme being. Boom! That skinny old man opened his turbid eyes. It was as if he could split the heavens and earth apart. A terrifying sword radiance that traversed the heavens and earth struck towards Ling Xiao. It was vast and mighty, containing a peerless killing power, and it slashed down towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, prepare to die. When Nan Tianqi felt the attack, a ferocious killing intent appeared in his eyes. He exploded with terrifying power and slashed toward Ling Xiao with his saber. The saber essence was eternal. It was like the Milky Way, illuminating the firmament. The saber and the sword slashed toward Ling Xiao, as if he was in a desperate situation. A half-step supreme being from Star Palace? Sensing that fatal killing intent, Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of incomparably cold sharpness. Boom! But at this moment, the earth began to tremble. A terrifying dragon roar shook the firmament. The white jade square cracked and a yellow dragon flew out. It exploded with terrifying power. It opened its mouth and swallowed the terrifying killing intents of the saber and the sword. Who is it? Nan Tianqi and the skinny Supreme Elder from Star Palace had a flash of light in their eyes. They were shocked as they looked afar. They all sensed that someone had intervened from a very far distance just now, and that was why they were able to block their killing blow. Nantian clan and Star Palace, what a pair of old farts. How dare they team up to attack a young man? They are as shameless as they were in the past. A faint yet ethereal voice sounded. In the distant sky, divine light filled the air and earth chi rose. It was as if a pure white lotus had bloomed. A middle-aged man in white robes strolled over. His expression was calm and indifferent. The middle-aged man had a head of white hair that danced in the wind. He looked very elegant. His face was extremely handsome, as if it was carved by a knife. His eyes were filled with vicissitudes of life, as if the heavens and the earth were changing in them. He walked over in the sky. The heavens and the earth were buzzing and trembling. There was a mysterious vibration, as if they were cheering for their king. The middle-aged man looked mysterious and ethereal. He did not seem ordinary at all, as if he was a supreme divine king. He was awe-inspiring and inviolable. It's a supreme being. Someone cried out in alarm as he felt his entire body tremble uncontrollably. The pressure that came from the depths of his soul caused him to feel fear in his heart. No, it's not a supreme being. It's just a half-supreme being. Nan Tianqi's eyes flashed coldly. He stared at the middle-aged man and said, "Who are you?" Ling Xiao and the Nantian clan have a huge grudge against each other. If you leave now, you will win the friendship of the Nantian clan. Although he was only a half-step supreme being, Nan Tianqi felt a strong sense of threat. His heart couldn't help but tremble. Grandfather, it's grandfather. Luoluo, who was standing beside the moon goddess, was stunned. She was pleasantly surprised and shouted. The middle-aged man in white who was walking over from afar was Li Chunfeng. Ling Xiao was also slightly taken aback. This white-robed middle-aged man was completely different from the sloppy old man in his memory. However, Ling Xiao still recognized him as Li Chunfeng. Stinky Taoist, this guy looks extraordinary. He's not tainted by the secular world. He's even more handsome than you. The old goat's eyes flashed as he chuckled. This old man only knows how to show off. But compared to me, he's still a little lacking. Taoist Wuliang curled his lips and said disdainfully. However, he had to admit that Li Chunfeng's temperament was extraordinary. Even he was almost convinced by him. Was this the temperament of a feng shui master? It was indeed unique. Chapter 549. Your friendship with the Nantian family. The Nantian family is just a bunch of ungrateful and shameless people. Kneel down and commit suicide, so that I won't dirty my hands. Li Chunfeng said flatly. His eyes were deep and indifferent. The dragon aura around him rose as though the entire heavenly god city was shaking with his footsteps. Hearing Li Chuanfeng's words, Nantian Qi and the rest of the Nantian family were filled with cold killing intent. Ha ha ha. You're just a half step to supreme being. How dare you be so arrogant in front of the Nantian family? You'll definitely die today. Nantian Qi did not recognize Li Chunfeng at that moment. He was so angry that he laughed. As for the skinny elder of Star Palace, his eyes were filled with astonishment. Although Li Chunfeng wasn't a supreme martial artist, the aura on his body made him feel extremely dangerous. Great Elder, he seems to be a surviving member of the Li family. An elder of the Nantian family trembled. His eyes were filled with shock. He seemed to have thought of something and quickly told Nantian Qi. What? A surviving member of the Li family? Nantian Qi was shocked and looked over. Li Chunfeng did not hide his face. After taking a closer look, Nantian Qi immediately understood who he was. A surviving member of the Li family, Li Chunfeng. Ha ha ha. There's a path to heaven but you don't want to take it. There's no door to hell but you barge in. So it's the remnants of the Li family. Li Chunfeng, you've been a coward for 2,000 years. Are you finally willing to come out? When the master returns, you'll definitely die. Nan Tianqi laughed out loud. His eyes were filled with incomparable coldness. At the same time, he was excited. If he could kill Li Chunfeng, it would be a great achievement. It might even be able to offset the crime of South Holy Master's death. Nan Tianjue. You'll die today. Nan Tianjue will die too. But you won't be able to see it. Li Chunfeng looked at Nantian Qi indifferently as though he was looking at an ant. Nantian Qi looked as though he had been humiliated. He laughed coldly and said, arrogant. I'd like to see how much you've improved in these 2,000 years. Rumble. A powerful aura exploded. Nantian Qi gave up on Ling Xiao. The battle saber in his hand emitted a blazing radiance as he slashed it down at Nantian Qi. Nantian Qi knew the secret of the Fengshui family. The Fengshui family was cursed and could never become a supreme being. Hence, Li Chunfeng was only a half-supreme being even after 2,000 years. He wanted to test Li Chuanfeng's strength. If Nantian Qi's is, then Qi would be able to kill him. Of Fengshui Qi's a great achievement. Is death. Ling Xiao Qi. Ling Xiao sneered. He knew how strange a Feng Shui master's methods were. Even if Li Chunfeng couldn't prove himself as a supreme, a Feng Shui master at his level had even killed a supreme before. What was a mere Nantianqi to him? Li Chunfeng remained calm in the face of Nantianqi's peerless saber light. He simply extended a finger and pointed at it. Li Chuanfeng's finger was as white as jade. It was extremely light, but it suddenly emitted an eternal radiance. It landed on Nantian Qi's Fen Qi. There was no sound, but Nantian Qi's Fen Qi shattered. The Fen Qi exploded into a rain of light like a mirror. Nantian Qi's Fen Qi pierced through the void and pointed at Nantian Qi's glabella. What? Nantian Qi's expression changed drastically. He felt a fatal threat and retreated without hesitation. But it was too late. Puff! Nantian Qi's glabella exploded. Even his primordial spirit in his sea of consciousness couldn't escape. His vitality was destroyed, and his soul was completely destroyed. Bang! Nantian Qi fell to the ground. His eyes were wide open. He died with a grievance. His eyes were filled with disbelief and fear. But he had already lost his vitality. He was dead. A half-supreme being was killed with a single finger. Everyone was dumbfounded. A half-step supreme being who had survived the tribulation of 2 divine beasts had died just like that. The people of the Nantian family were especially shocked. They were still cursing Li Chunfeng arrogantly. But now, they felt like their throats were being strangled. Their eyes were filled with fear, and they couldn't say a word. And the two of you. Li Chuanfeng's expression didn't change after killing Nantian Qi. It was as if he had just killed 2 ants. Then, he looked at the other 2 half-supreme beings of the Nantian family. Li Chunfeng, how dare you kill us? Our family master will not let you go. The expressions of the 2 half-step supremes changed greatly. They were so frightened that their bodies trembled, and they wanted to escape without thinking. Boom! Li Chunfeng grabbed at the void. His huge palm seemed to be able to wrap the world in it. It contained a mysterious power of law. The 2 half-supreme beings couldn't resist at all. They were caught by Li Chunfeng in an instant. When Li Chunfeng clenched his fist, the 2 half-supreme beings exploded into a mist of blood before they could make a sound. This, how can he be so strong? Qi Sha, Junpe, and Tan Lang's eyes were filled with shock. Those were 3 half-step supremes. Even in the war god continent, they were considered top-notch experts. Yet, Li Chunfeng had squashed them as if they were ants. The great way of feng shui, the power of yin and yang, the Li family, you are the family master of the Li family, Li Chunfeng? The skinny supreme elder of Star Palace revealed an extremely shocked expression. He seemed to have felt something and he said solemnly. Yes, it's time for you to leave. Li Chunfeng. This name was very unfamiliar. Many young geniuses revealed incomparably puzzled expressions. They had never heard of it at all. The first elder of the Precious Treasure Pavilion, Jian Bumi, Granny Gui, and the other old monsters shuddered. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. It was rumored that the Li family of feng shui was destroyed by the power of heaven's wrath 2,000 years ago. Why was Li Chunfeng, the family master of the Li family, still alive? 2,000 years ago, although Li Chunfeng didn't become a supreme being, he was famous in the war god continent. He had great combat strength. He had once killed a supreme being with the cultivation of a half-supreme being. The feng shui family had all kinds of strange means. It was impossible to guard against them. Even a supreme being was afraid of them. Therefore, although the feng shui family was punished by heaven and couldn't become a supreme being, they were still one of the most powerful hidden ancient families in the war god continent. No one dared to underestimate them. Yes, I am Li Chunfeng. Chapter 550. I didn't expect the people from Star Palace to be a bunch of ungrateful and shameless people. If Ling Xiao hadn't saved you, you would have died in the God's Stone, right? You deserve to die for biting the hand that feeds you. Li Chuanfeng's gaze fell on Tan Lang, Qi Sha, Pajun, and the Supreme Elder of Star Palace, revealing a cold murderous intent. Li Chunfeng, you are about to die and you still dare to be so arrogant? When the Supreme Masters of Star Palace and Nantian clan arrive, it will be your death. The eyes of the Supreme Elder of Star Palace turned cold and he laughed coldly. Although Li Chunfeng was strong, he was a half-step Supreme Master who had passed through the 4 symbols calamity. He wasn't someone the 3 pieces of trash from Nantian clan could compare with. Although he was wary of Li Chunfeng, he wasn't afraid. Is that so? Li Chunfeng smiled faintly. A vast power of heaven and earth pressed down on the Supreme Elder of Star Palace. Set up the 4 symbols star formation and kill him. The great Elder of Star Palace's gaze turned cold as he shouted. Boom! A strong aura exploded from his body. The great Elder of Star Palace took the east side. A green dragon traversed the void. The starlight above the 9 heavens shone brightly like a light pillar, causing his aura to soar. As for the other 3 elders of Star Palace, they took up positions in the west, south and north respectively. They communicated with the power of Star and formed a mysterious connection with the Supreme Elder of Star Palace. Rumble. The sky changed color. The stars in the west shone brightly. A white tiger leaped out ferociously. The starry sky in the south and north was also dazzling. A powerful vermilion bird and a black tortoise that covered the sea appeared. green dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise. The 4 sacred beasts appeared in the void. With the power of 4 supreme stars, they formed the 4 symbols star formation. A terrifying aura exploded and pressed down on Li Chunfeng. 4 symbols star formation. With the 4 half-step supreme masters communicating with the supreme stars, the 4 sacred beasts should be able to unleash the power of a supreme master. Jian Bumi exclaimed in surprise. His eyes were filled with solemnity. Even if Li Chunfeng was a feng shui master, could he really withstand the might of a supreme master? Everyone's hearts were in their throats. Rumble. The 4 godly beasts flew across the void. The highest elder of Star Palace, who was the leader, was filled with the power of Star. His aura soared and he had a feeling that he had broken through the bottleneck. His gaze was cold as he grabbed a star sword. Accompanied by a terrifying dragon roar, he slashed at Li Chunfeng. Die! The elders of the 4 star palaces were filled with murderous intent. Heaven and earth trembled and the clouds moved. If it wasn't for the powerful formation set up by the ancestors of the ancient kingdom of Azure Dragon, it would have been razed to the ground in an instant. 4 symbols stellar formation. If it was set up by the 4 supreme martial artists, they might be able to summon the true spirits of the 4 symbols divine beasts. However, you guys are still a bit lacking. Li Chunfeng's eyes glinted. He stomped his foot and the Zhou Tian rumbled. The earth churned and yellow mist filled the air. Death Qi filled the air as if it was going to turn this place into a land of death. Roar! A terrifying dragon roar pierced the sky. A huge yellow dragon rushed out from the ground and lifted Li Chunfeng up. It roared at the 4 symbols divine beasts in the void. In an instant, lightning flashed and the dragon roar shook the sky. A terrifying aura filled the air. It was ferocious. Dragon Quake Scripture. This is the Dragon Quake Scripture of the Li family. It shakes the dragon veins of the earth and explodes with unparalleled killing power. It even has the power to kill gods and demons. Someone exclaimed in shock. His eyes were filled with shock. If the 4 symbols stellar formation borrowed the power of the stars, then the Dragon Quake Scripture was the change of heaven and earth. It used the dragon veins of the earth as its foundation to explode with unparalleled power. Boom! With Heavenly God's city as the center, the land within a radius of 1,000,000 miles began to tremble. Boundless earth Qi rose up. That profound yellow dragon was like an ancient true dragon that had descended into the world. Its dragon might was extremely powerful. Compared to the profound yellow dragon, the originally incomparably powerful Azure Dragon had become so insignificant. Dragon Quake Scripture. The great elder of Star Palace looked solemn, but he wasn't afraid at all. With a tap of his finger, the 4 divine beasts pounced across the sky and pounced towards the dark yellow dragon. Roar! Ferocious power filled the sky. The terrifying fluctuation seemed to be about to shatter the heaven and earth. Above the 9 heavens, divine light lingered and fog rose. The battle of the 5 great divine beasts had officially begun. Facing the 4 divine beasts' attack, the profound yellow dragon showed no signs of fear. With a sweep of its tail, it sent the white tiger flying. Kacha! The enormous profound yellow dragon claw was incomparably sharp. It grabbed the vermilion bird's wing and tore it apart. Rumble! The dragon scales around the huge yellow dragon seemed to have turned into terrifying blades. They shot towards Black Tortoise and Azure Dragon at an unimaginable speed. At the same time, the huge yellow dragon opened its mouth and tried to swallow the severely injured vermilion bird. The huge yellow dragon's ferocious power filled the sky. The old monsters below were terrified. Although they knew that the 5 great divine beasts, including the huge yellow dragon, were formed by the rules and power, their ferocious power was no different from a real divine beast. They did not doubt that if they were to intervene in the battle, even a half-step to supreme being would be torn into pieces in an instant. Qi Sha, Pejun, and Tan Lang's eyes were filled with solemnity. However, When they saw Ling Xiao in the distance, their expressions changed drastically. Ling Xiao's eyes were cold and filled with murderous intent. He took advantage of the opportunity and charged towards them. "Stop him, stop Ling Xiao for me!" Tan Lang roared with a tinge of fear in his eyes. Even Holy Master Nan had died in Ling Xiao's hands. Although they were the stars of Star Palace, they were weaker than Holy Master Nan. How could they be Ling Xiao's match? Boom! The remaining experts of Star Palace were shocked. However, they could not disobey the orders of the 3 stars. They gritted their teeth and charged towards Ling Xiao. The strongest among them was only a level 9 martial emperor. The 4 half-step to supreme beings were already restrained by Li Chunfeng. How could they be Ling Xiao's match? Heh, your opponent is me. Master Taoist 2. Master Taoist will send you to reincarnation. The old goat and Taoist Wu Yang both smiled maliciously. They blocked the experts who were rushing towards Ling Xiao, leaving 7 kills, Army Destroyer, and Greedy Wolf to Ling Xiao. Qi Sha, Pajun and Tan Lang. How arrogant to use the name of an ancient star. I will send you to meet Holy Master Nan. Chapter 551. Crack. Golden lightning suffused the surroundings while accompanied by Ling Xiao's monstrous vital energy. A golden true dragon charged out from the enormous fist. It was ferocious and monstrous, and it enveloped Qi Sha, Junpe, and Tan Lang. A terrifying glow swept through the heavens and the earth as the heavenly dragon's physique erupted. Ling Xiao seemed to have transformed into a primeval true dragon, and the terrifying aura of his fist caused Qi Sha, Junpe, and Tan Lang's expressions to change drastically as they felt a wave of lethal danger. Qi Sha, descend. Junpe, descend. Tan Lang, descend. Qi Sha, Junpe, and Tan Lang revealed a trace of insanity on their faces as they roared at the same time. Rumble. An incomparably powerful aura soared into the sky. Above the 9 heavens, the sky shook and the stars trembled. The 3 big stars became incomparably hot. The terrifying power of the stars descended like 3 heavenly pillars. It was the stellar energy of Qi Sha, Junpe, and Tan Lang. It was vast, and it poured into the 3 of them, causing their auras to start rising explosively. In practically an instant, Qi Sha, Junpe, and Tan Lang's auras broke through to the monarch realm, and they rose all the way to the peak of the monarch realm, connecting with the energy of 3 supreme stars. Unfortunately, borrowed energy is still borrowed in the end. A cold glow flashed through Ling Xiao's eyes, and the aura of his fist grew even stronger. It tore through the sky in a dazzling and resplendent manner. Qi Sha fist. Qi Sha's killing intent surged while his eyes were filled with a ghastly cold glow. He slammed his fist forward, and it was like a supreme star had collided with him. It erupted with peerless divine energy. Junpe and Tan Lang activated their supreme stars at the same time and slammed their attacks towards Ling Xiao. Break! Ling Xiao spoke indifferently. A dragon's roar that shook the sky resounded as the golden true dragon fist swept through the heavens and the earth. It instantly shattered Qi Sha, Junpe, and Tan Lang's fists before smashing forcefully against their bodies. Bang! Starlight shone resplendently on the 3 supreme stars while runes suffused them. Ling Xiao's peerless divine energy was swiftly neutralized before being obliterated. However, the 3 of them were still blasted over 100 m away by Ling Xiao's fist, and their faces were slightly pale. A quasi-supreme weapon. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered. He immediately recognized the starry robes on 7 murders, destruction army, and greed. The starry robes emitted a resplendent glow, intertwining with the power of laws. They were also quasi-supreme weapons. Ling Xiao's current physical strength was incomparably powerful. After condensing the heavenly dragon body, his physical body was comparable to those young ancient divine beasts. If it wasn't for a quasi-supreme weapon, it wouldn't have been able to withstand a single blow from Ling Xiao. How abnormal! The 3 stars summoned the divine energy of the stars and their cultivations rose explosively to the peak of the monarch realm, yet they were actually unable to resist a single attack from Ling Xiao. Someone exclaimed in shock. His eyes were filled with shock. Ling Xiao's physical body is too strong, almost capable of destroying the world. Could he really be from the Dragon Clan? Some people doubted Ling Xiao's identity. After all, how could a human have such a terrifying physical body? The 3 stars are in danger today. However, if Ling Xiao were to kill them, he would offend Star Palace completely. When the master of Star Palace arrives, Ling Xiao would definitely be dead. Even if Ling Xiao didn't kill the 3 stars, would Star Palace let him go? This young man is quite courageous. Previously, he killed South Celestial Master. If he were to kill the 3 stars, his name would definitely spread throughout War God continent. I wonder if he would be able to turn misfortune into blessings today. Everyone was in a heated discussion. When they looked at Ling Xiao, their gazes were filled with admiration and sympathy. Granny Gui, I've already sent a message to Master. I wonder if Master would be able to make it in time. If Ling Xiao were to kill the 3 stars, he would be completely at odds with Nantian family and Star Palace. Moon Goddess's eyes revealed a tinge of worry as she spoke slowly. Palace Master should be able to make it in time. This young man doesn't look like someone who would die young. Don't worry, he would definitely be able to turn misfortune into blessings. Granny Gui smiled faintly and there was a glimmer of light in her eyes. Rumble. Ling Xiao's eyes were burning with murderous intent. He activated the violent dragon superpower and exploded with extreme physical strength in an attempt to kill the 3 stars. Boundless fist radiance fell and the dragon power was extremely terrifying. It directly pierced through the starlight pillar and smashed onto Qi Sha's chest. Boundless rays of light exploded and runes filled the air. The starry robe on Qi Sha's body was activated to the extreme, but he was still injured. Bang! Ling Xiao kicked out and sent Pajun, who was attacking him from behind, flying. Then, he grabbed Qi Sha and unleashed his unparalleled divine strength to collide with Tan Lang. Rumble! Rays of divine light filled the air and boundless runes exploded. Qi Sha and Tan Lang were both dizzy from the collision and their eyes were filled with humiliation. The body of the heavenly dragon was too strong. It was so strong that Ling Xiao could break through everything with his strength. No matter what kind of superpower the 3 stars used, they were all broken by Ling Xiao's simple punch. If the 3 of them did not have a quasi-supreme weapon to protect themselves, they would have been killed by Ling Xiao. Rumble! Qi Sha roared furiously and his eyes were filled with madness. He roared, "Juniors, if Ling Xiao doesn't die today, we will use the power of kill and break and kill him." Kill! Alright, let's fight it out with him. Pajun and Tan Lang roared too. They knew that it was a matter of life and death. If they did not fight with their lives, they would die in Ling Xiao's hands before the master of Star Palace came back. Rumble! The power of starlight around Qi Sha, Pajun and Tan Lang trembled violently. Then, it instantly gathered in the void and faintly showed signs of merging together. The heaven and earth trembled and the wind and thunder exploded. A terrifying and mysterious power of law descended and landed on the 3 stars. There seemed to be a ray of black divine light that pierced through the void and destroyed everything. Kill and break and break. This is the ultimate killing power formed by Qi Sha, Pajun and Tan Lang, the 3 ominous stars. It can even kill a half-supreme master. Those who are not supreme masters can't fight against it. Ling Xiao actually forced them to such an extent. Many of the old monsters trembled, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. Converging the power of kill, break and Tan Lang meant that the 3 stars were going all out. Converging the power of the 3 supreme stars in addition to the power of the 3 stars, the ultimate killing blow was something that even a real supreme master would have to take seriously. However, after the 3 stars attack, if they could not kill Ling Xiao, they would become lambs waiting to be slaughtered. They would have no power to fight back. Rumble. Chapter 552. The Sun in the Void, Eternal Darkness. No one could describe the brilliance of the black divine light. The surrounding void was like a spider's web as it silently appeared before Ling Xiao in the blink of an eye. A fatal threat shrouded Ling Xiao's heart. This was the power of Sha, Pe, and Lang's three supreme stars. They contained the complete law of slaughter. That terrifying black divine light was formed from the law of slaughter, capable of destroying all life. It was comparable to the might of a supreme being. The power of the slaughter order. It's a pity that it's still too young. Ling Xiao's eyes shone with a mysterious light. In the face of this fatal blow, there was no trace of panic in his eyes. The black divine light came across the sky with a mysterious trace. Ling Xiao's eyes seemed to see the trajectory of the black divine light and the surrounding power of the order. Break. Ling Xiao spat out a word. The wordless heavenly book emitted a brilliant divine light and a mysterious vortex appeared between Ling Xiao's eyebrows. Wang. The heavens and earth trembled. That horrifying slaughter god light was directly devoured by the wordless heavenly book and turned into nourishment for it. As Ling Xiao's cultivation increased, his control over the wordless heavenly book became stronger. He could now use the wordless heavenly book to swallow the power of the order. The slaughter order that Qi Sha, Pe Jun, and Tan Lang had used together contained the powerful slaughter order. It happened to be restrained by the wordless heavenly book and was swallowed by it. Rumble. Everyone saw that the terrifying slaughtering divine light was extremely powerful, but when it came into contact with Ling Xiao, it actually disappeared in an instant. No. This is impossible. Tan Lang's eyes widened in disbelief. The wolf-shattering divine power was dissolved, and the three stars suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. They suffered an incomparably powerful backlash, and their auras instantly became incomparably dispirited. They had never imagined that Ling Xiao would be able to neutralize the wolf-slaying divine power so easily. Originally, they thought that even if Ling Xiao was not destroyed, he would be seriously injured and lose the ability to fight again. However, they could not accept such an outcome. He dissolved the slaughter order in an instant. Our young friend Ling Xiao has a big secret. The great elder of the precious treasure pavilion sighed softly as a strange look appeared in his eyes. To be able to resolve the killing-breaking wolf layout, which is comparable to the power of a supreme being, young friend Ling is truly a genius. Jian Bummy, Xiong Lao He, and the other old monsters exclaimed. Their eyes were filled with respect. In the past, Ling Xiao was just a junior who knew the art of stone. But now, they suddenly realized that this young man's martial talent was beyond their expectations. They began to take him seriously. Rumble. After the wordless heavenly book devoured the wolf's godly force, a terrifying force of slaughter erupted, causing the wordless heavenly book to tremble violently. It even affected Ling Xiao's soul, causing him to be slightly injured. Fortunately, the wordless heavenly book was powerful enough, and Ling Xiao's primordial spirit was also sturdy enough. In the end, they still managed to suppress the divine power of the wolf. Looks like I was too careless. Qi Sha, Jun Pe, and Tan Lang are only in the noble realm. Although the killing-breaking wolf's godly force is comparable to the power of a supreme being, it is still a rootless duckweed. If I had really used the wordless heavenly book to devour the power of the precepts of a supreme being, my primordial spirit would have turned into ashes by now. Ling Xiao sighed softly. Activating the power of the wordless heavenly book to resolve the situation was also a risky attempt by Ling Xiao. He also wanted to see how much control he had over the wordless heavenly book had. Although his primordial spirit was injured in the end, it was still worth it. After all, Ling Xiao had gained some insight on how to control the wordless heavenly book. He would be more confident in facing life and death crises in the future. The faces of the three stars paled, and when Ling Xiao's cold gaze landed on them, it made them tremble even more. Their eyes were filled with incomparable terror. The three of you, I will send you to the afterlife. Ling Xiao said indifferently. A terrifying killing intent surrounded him and shrouded the 3 stars. Ling Xiao, we won't let you go even if we become ghosts. The palace master will definitely avenge us. No one in this world can save you. Ling Xiao, I curse you to die a horrible death. The eyes of the 3 stars all revealed an incomparably vicious expression as they looked at Ling Xiao and roared furiously. Ling Xiao, you little bastard, don't you dare hurt the 3 stars. Otherwise, I will make you beg for death. When the Supreme Elder of Star Palace heard the roars of the 3 stars, his face instantly changed. His eyes were filled with coldness and he was about to break through the blockade of the Earth Dragon's vein to attack Ling Xiao. Old man, you can't even protect yourself and you still have the time to worry about others? Li Chunfeng stood on the head of the giant black dragon. His white hair was flying and his white robe was peerless. He had an unparalleled aura. He glanced at the Supreme Elder of Star Palace indifferently and his eyes were filled with sharpness. Roar! The giant black dragon roared and the roar of the dragon shook the heavens and the earth. Its huge dragon tail swept across and instantly blew away the 3 divine beast shadows, vermilion bird, black tortoise and white tiger. Taking advantage of the moment when the Supreme Elder of Star Palace was distracted, it swallowed the green dragon. Rumble. The starlight pillar in the void shattered in an instant and an extremely strong backfire spread out. The Star Palace Grand Elder's face turned pale in an instant and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Shit! The Supreme Elder of Star Palace was scared out of his wits and his eyes were filled with terror. However, he had no chance at all. The giant black dragon was as fast as lightning and it swallowed him straight away. Rumble. The death aura of the giant black dragon filled the air and murderous intent soared. The Supreme Elder of Star Palace was swallowed by the giant black dragon in an instant and there was no corpse left. After swallowing the green dragon and the Supreme Elder of Star Palace, the giant black dragon seemed to have taken a great tonic. Its aura began to soar and suppressed the remaining 3 divine beast shadows. It broke through their joint attack and swallowed the vermilion bird, black tortoise and white tiger. The 3 Supreme Elders of Star Palace were shocked. They wanted to escape but they didn't have a chance. They also became nourishment for the giant black dragon. Roar! The terrifying roar of the dragon reverberated through the sky. After swallowing the 4 divine beasts and the 4 Supreme Elders, the giant black dragon's aura soared to the extreme. There was a vague feeling that it could suppress the 4 extremes of the universe and dominate all living things. Everyone looked at Li Chunfeng blankly and they were speechless. The 3 half-step Supreme Elders of Nantian family had died in Li Chunfeng's hands. Then, the 3 Supreme Elders of Star Palace and the Supreme Elder of Star Palace had died. Li Chunfeng had already killed 7 half-step Supreme Elders. This kind of peerless ferocious power caused the eyes of those old monsters to be filled with incomparable fear and dread. Chapter 553. Rumble. Ling Xiao's eyes were deep and 2 terrifying light beams shot out. They gave off a strong mental strength fluctuation as though they were going to destroy all real spirits. At the same time, 28 resplendent stars surrounded Ling Xiao, causing the power of his soul to skyrocket. The 28 stars revolved around Ling Xiao and there were streaks of black lightning. They were the 28 soul morning nails. After Ling Xiao refined them, they gave off a terrifying power. With the great soul destruction skill, the 28 soul morning nails had the power to destroy all primordial spirits. Although the 3 stars were seriously injured, the star robe on them was a quasi-supreme weapon and its defense was strong. With the power of the great soul destruction skill and soul morning nails, the 3 stars had no way to resist. Puff! The glabella of the 3 stars split open and there was a bloody light. Their consciousness was instantly pierced through. Before the 3 blurry shadows were destroyed by the soul morning nails, a ray of light shot out from the wordless heaven book and swept them away. Rumble. After the primordial spirits were devoured, the physical bodies of the 3 stars were instantly destroyed. The 3-star robes and the 3 stars storage treasures were taken away by Ling Xiao. Above the void, there was a bloody mist swirling. Ling Xiao stood in the air and his eyes were as vast as the starry sky. His white robe was whiter than snow and there was not a speck of bloody light on it. His peerless demeanor and bearing made countless people admire him. He really dared to kill the 3 stars. Ling Xiao, this bastard, is dead. When Star Emperor returns, it will be his death. Many disciples of Star Palace were stunned and their eyes were filled with disbelief. In Star Palace, the 5 stars were the 5 peerless geniuses who led the younger generation of Star Palace. Every one of them had the potential to become a supreme being. But now, Ling Xiao had slaughtered 3 stars in one go. If this news were to spread, it would shake the entire War God continent. Ling Xiao had killed a male holy master and killed the 3 stars. He had the momentum of a flying dragon and he would definitely become another rising star in War God continent. Li Chunfeng, you are courting death. Just then, a cold and angry voice was heard in the void. The clouds in the universe changed and a terrifying figure appeared in the void. It was the South Heaven Jew. He was shrouded in endless light. His clothes were somewhat tattered, and his aura was somewhat violent. It seemed that he had been severely injured. Everyone was shocked. Nan Tianjue had returned. Could it be that he had really killed the Azure Dragon human sovereign? Yu Wanwan, the second prince, and the other members of the royal family of the ancient kingdom of dragons shuddered and their faces paled. If the Azure Dragon human emperor were to die, the ancient kingdom of Azure Dragon would fall apart in an instant. Li Chunfeng, 2,000 years ago, you annihilated my Li family and slaughtered my disciples. Today, we will settle the score. When Li Chunfeng saw Nan Tianjue in the sky, his eyes turned red and his killing intent surged. As the saying goes, when enemies meet, their eyes blaze with hatred. Li Chunfeng and Nan Tianjue had a blood feud that would never end until one of them was dead. There was no room for reconciliation. Li Chunfeng, you'll pay with your life for killing my Nantian family's people. Nan Tianjue's eyes were cold and fiery. He had already obtained the Dragon Quake scripture and Purple Chi spiritual art. All that was left was Li Chunfeng's nature feng shui skill. As long as he could obtain the nature feng shui skill, he would be able to discover the secret of becoming a god. Therefore, Li Chunfeng would definitely die. Ha ha ha. What bullshit, Nantian family. You are just a bunch of ungrateful people who deceive the world. Today, not only will you die, but I will also bury the Nantian family with you. Li Chunfeng said coldly. The killing intent in his eyes was so intense that it seemed to have materialized. Rumble. As if it had sensed Li Chunfeng's anger, the giant yellow dragon under his feet began to boil violently. An earth-shattering dragon roar resounded as a terrifying divine aura rose and pounced towards Li Chunfeng. The earth began to tremble as an endless amount of earth energy rose. It was as if it had connected the 2 worlds of yin and yang. There was a mysterious intent realm that could shatter heaven and earth. Is this the nature feng shui skill? Even with the nature feng shui skill, you will still die. Nan Tianjue's eyes glowed with a scorching light. This was the nature feng shui skill that he had been waiting for 2,000 years. As soon as Li Chunfeng attacked, he could feel how extraordinary this secret skill was. If it was combined with the Purple Chi psychic skill, it might really be able to shatter heaven and earth and connect the 2 worlds of man and God. Rumble. Nan Tianjue attacked without hesitation. He struck out with his palm and the world shook. An ancient stone gate appeared behind him. The stone gate was ancient and mysterious. It was filled with chaotic mist as if there really was a supreme heavenly court and a mysterious scene where thousands of gods gathered. When Nan Tianjue used the divine power of the Southern Heaven Gate, it was more than 100 times stronger than the male heavenly master. Rumble. In the 9 heavens, the giant yellow dragon clashed with the Southern Heaven Gate. The sky shook as if countless stars were shaking. Heaven and earth were about to return to nothingness. The terrifying supreme aura made the millions of living beings in Heavenly God's city tremble. A strong sense of fear surged from the depths of their souls. This is the divine power of a supreme being, the divine power of a supreme being. We can't see a supreme being, and the world can't be bullied. I wonder when we will be able to reach such a peerless supreme realm. Many of the old monsters began to tremble, and their eyes were filled with envy and excitement. Most of them were half-step supremes, but half-step supremes were like ants in front of true supremes. Half-step supremes had to go through the earth tribulation, water tribulation, wind tribulation, fire tribulation, and supreme tribulation before they could become supremes. Of the 5 legendary tribulations, there was an incomparably terrifying gap between each tribulation. However, while they were envious, they were also shocked. Li Chunfeng was only half-step supremes, but he was able to fight against Nan Tianjue. The legendary Fengshui family, the clan forsaken by the heavens, really lived up to their reputation. The giant yellow dragon seemed to contain the boundless power of the earth. It clashed violently with the southern heaven gate. Every time it clashed, it would explode with dazzling divine light. Heavenly thunder rumbled and talismans exploded. As the void cracked, countless laws of heaven and earth and divine power of order were shattered. However, the crowd noticed that the giant yellow dragon's power was getting stronger. However, the southern heaven gate seemed to be unable to withstand the impact and began to crack. Myriad Fengshui art, the power of the earth dragon vein. Using the Tao of Fengshui to create changes in heaven and earth. It is indeed a supreme secret art. However, Li Chunfeng, you still have to die. Chapter 554. Nantian Scripture, Myriad of Purple Qi, Descent of the Gods. Nantian Ju said indifferently. It was as if his words were the law. Chaos filled the air around him as purple light poured down from the sky. Behind Nantian Ju, it was as if the door of the gods had opened. Terrifying figures appeared one after another, causing Nantian Ju's aura to rise to an unimaginable level. It was as if Nantian Ju had truly become the Lord of the Gods. His strength was unfathomable. You have merged the Nantian Scripture and Purple Qi's spiritual art into one. Nantian Ju, it seems like you haven't lived for 2,000 years in vain. Li Chunfeng's eyes flickered as he said coldly. Rumble. Nantian Ju threw out a punch, causing the sky and earth to rumble. The giant yellow dragon instantly cracked and turned into endless mist. The entire sky and earth trembled. If it wasn't for the supreme Tao marks left behind by the past supremes of Heavenly God's City and the battle between Li Chunfeng and Nantian Ju in the 9 heavens, Heavenly God's City and everyone would have been reduced to dust. Even so, there were still many people who were trembling all over, and their faces were extremely pale. They couldn't imagine how terrifying the Supreme's aura would be without the protection of Heavenly God's City. Purple Qi's spiritual art and myriad phenomenon geomancy art. Purple Qi's spiritual art is the manifestation of the heavenly law, while myriad phenomenon geomancy art is the manifestation of the great earth dragon vein. Both of them are supreme secret arts that lead directly to the great Tao. They are indeed extraordinary. Ling Zhao's eyes flickered with astonishment. Li Chunfeng was indeed a peerless genius. He was able to create supreme secret arts like Purple Qi's spiritual art and myriad phenomenon geomancy art when he was just a half-step supreme. It was no wonder that Nantian Ju was willing to annihilate the Li family for these 2 secret arts. From Ling Zhao's point of view, if these 2 secret techniques could be combined and become one with heaven and earth, it wouldn't be impossible for him to become a god. Boom! After Nantian Ju destroyed the giant yellow dragon, he charged towards Li Chunfeng with cold killing intent in his eyes. So what if you have merged the Purple Qi's spiritual art and Nantian scripture? Without the myriad phenomenon geomancy art, you will never know how terrifying these 2 secret arts are. Li Chunfeng's eyes flickered with a hint of mockery. Limitless heaven and earth, yin and yang separation. Said Li Chunfeng indifferently. Rumbling sounds could be heard as the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Boundless chaotic fog filled the air and instantly enveloped South Sky Ju. A surge of yin and yang qi rose up, with black and white colors revolving around it. It was as though the yin and yang qi of the beginning of the heavens had bound Nan Tianjue in the middle. The 5 elements give birth to life, and the 3 give birth to all things. Amidst the faint voice, it was as if a chicken egg had broken through the primal chaos fog. The qi of the 5 elements spread out. The clear qi rose and the turbid qi sank. In a mysterious space, mountains, rivers, seas, lakes, mountains, flowers, and trees all began to slowly evolve. When the heavenly Tao is first established, the world is filled with killing intent. Above the 9 heavens, a mysterious world appeared and trapped Nan Tianjue within. A horrifying killing intent exploded out as though the power of an entire world was crushing down on Nan Tianjue. This is the power of the world of fortune. I understand now. I finally understand. The violet qi psychic art and the myriad manifestations geomancy art are the supreme secret arts of the world of fortune. Nan Tianjue roared. His eyes were filled with astonishment. Creating a world out of the void, evolving with the power of the heavens and earth, and unleashing the killing intent of the world to suppress a sovereign. Such peerless divine power was simply unheard of. Countless people were dumbfounded. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Li Chunfeng stood above the 9 heavens, absorbing the power of the heavens and earth. Purple qi and Xianhuang qi rose up and evolved into a mysterious world to suppress Nan Tianjue. Although a sovereign was strong, how could he resist the power of an entire world? Ling Zhao's eyes were also filled with astonishment. Sovereign experts could cultivate divine power and open up a small world in their bodies. However, that was just water without roots. How could it compare to the power of the world of fortune? Ling Zhao could imagine that if these 2 secret arts were to be spread out, countless sovereigns in the war god continent would rush over to snatch them. If they really possessed the power to open up a world, they might really possess immortality and the possibility of breaking through to the divine spirit realm. Rumble. The chaotic mist shook and the killing intent of the yin and yang boiled. The 5 elements' divine light pierced through everything. Nan Tianjue instantly fell into an extremely dangerous situation. The clothes on his body were pierced and the rules of order filled the air. The powerful sovereign's divine might couldn't resist the killing intent of the world. However, there wasn't the slightest bit of fear in Nan Tianjue's eyes. Instead, there was a tinge of cold killing intent. Star Emperor, what are you waiting for? Why aren't you attacking? Nan Tianjue roared. Boom! Above the heavens, there seemed to be countless starlight descending. Huge stars rotated and the Milky Way spread out. It was mysterious and dazzling. A young man in white stepped across the sky. He was shrouded in the brilliant starlight and looked extremely mysterious. His expression was indifferent. There seemed to be an endless starry sky in his eyes. He threw out a blow. It looked light but it contained a terrifying killing intent. His target wasn't the world, but Li Chunfeng. The master of Star Palace, Star Emperor. Li Chunfeng's eyes widened in shock. There was a tinge of solemnity in his eyes. From Star Emperor, Li Chunfeng felt a mysterious aura that could control the heavens and earth. It was as if he was the embodiment of the heavenly way. It was as if he could break through the sky and ascend at any time. This was close to the peak of the human Tao, the power of a titled sovereign. In other words, Star Emperor's cultivation had reached peak sovereign. The blow looked light but it contained a myriad of killing intents and billions of divine powers. It was as if it could destroy and crush everything. Dragon quake scripture, quake the heavens, quake the earth, and quake the people. Li Chunfeng roared. Between the heavens and earth, countless divine lights filled the air. The power of the rules of order intertwined and 3 mysterious real dragons appeared in the void. One contained the heavenly way, one contained the earth way, and the last contained the human Tao. They pounced towards Star Emperor. Dragon quake scripture, Star ghost divine skill, killing form. Star Emperor's eyes revealed a tinge of curiosity as he said nonchalantly. In his blow, there seemed to be darkness being split apart. A blazing saber radiance pierced through the void, bringing with it an infinite amount of deathly aura. Boom! Above the three mysterious real dragons, countless runes of the rules of order were instantly destroyed. Terrifying divine lights exploded like a volcanic eruption. In the end, although the saber radiance was destroyed, Li Chuanfeng's dragon quake scripture was completely destroyed. Puff! Li Chuanfeng's face turned pale. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his aura instantly weakened. Even the world that he controlled started to tremble. Nan Tianjue looked as if he was going to break free at any time. The crowd started to worry. Chapter 555. Li Chunfeng, you're dead meat. Nan Tianjue, who was trapped in the world, had an extremely cold look in his eyes. The aura around him was extremely violent, and the aura of a sovereign filled the air with boundless power. The surrounding void trembled violently, and the chaotic mist started to boil. It was as if the heavenly Tao was collapsing, and Nan Tianjue, who was trapped within, wanted to break free. Is that so? Although Li Chuanfeng's face was pale, his eyes were extremely calm. Heaven and earth qi filled the air around him, and the heavenly Tao descended. The universe shook, and rays of purple light fell. He had unleashed the myriad geomancy art and purple qi's spiritual technique to the maximum. Destroy. Li Chunfeng spat out a word indifferently. The heaven and earth qi and purple qi rushed into the world, and the heavenly Tao in the world collapsed rapidly, and the entire world exploded. Rumble. The sky shattered, and boundless spatial turbulence filled the air. Rays of destructive divine light fell, and collided with the sovereign Tao marks of heavenly God's city. Shocking divine light burst out. How terrifying was the power of a world's explosion! With Li Chuanfeng's cultivation, the world created by the myriad geomancy art and purple qi's spiritual technique wasn't complete, and could even be said to be incomplete. However, it still possessed some of the power of a world. Boundless destructive energy burst out, and the surrounding void was quickly destroyed. Nan Tianjue roared furiously, but his body was torn apart by the divine light. The originally indestructible sovereign body started to turn into nothingness. In just a few moments, Nan Tianjue's body below his neck was completely shattered, and only his head was left. He was struggling violently, trying to escape from the destructive storm. Li Chunfeng, do you really think that I'm not here? At the critical moment, a divine light flashed in Star Sovereign's eyes. He struck out with his palm, and the stars around him shook. Dazzling starlight filled the air, and turned into silver divine chains of order. They instantly rushed towards Nan Tianjue, who was in the destructive storm. Just before Nan Tianjue's head was about to shatter, the divine chains of order blocked the destructive energy and rescued Nan Tianjue. Li Chunfeng, I'm going to make sure that you die without a burial place. Nan Tianjue's eyes were filled with hatred, and his face was ferocious. He knew that the myriad manifestations geomancy art and violet qi psychic art were extremely terrifying, but he hadn't expected them to explode with the power of a world and almost take his life. A single drop of blood from a supreme being could crush a mountain, and a single breath from a supreme being could split open the sky. A supreme being's body contained the supreme divine power of a supreme being expert. South Sky Ju's body was destroyed, and he was severely injured. Although he could rely on his divine power to reform his body, it wasn't an easy task. If he wanted to make up for it, he would need at least 100 years of effort. One could imagine the hatred in Nan Tianjue's heart. Li Chuanfeng's face grew paler and paler. Shattering the world and turning it into a destructive storm caused him to suffer a great backlash. He sighed in his heart. If the Star Emperor had not intervened, he would have been able to kill Nan Tianju and take his revenge. Star Emperor, Nan Tianjue and I have a blood feud. As the master of Star Palace, do you really want to get involved in this matter? Li Chunfeng stared at the Star Emperor and said flatly. There was a flash of divine light in Star Emperor's eyes and he said coldly, Li Chunfeng, I don't want to get involved in the matter between you and Nan Tianjue. However, you killed 4 elders from Star Palace. I have to settle the score with you. An elder from Star Palace? Bullying the weak. Shameless. Ungrateful. You deserve to die. Since the Star Emperor wants to reward them, let's do it. Li Chunfeng laughed coldly, and his eyes were filled with disdain. He understood that the so-called reward for the elders of Star Palace was just an excuse. The Star Emperor probably wanted the myriad manifestations geomancy art and violet chi psychic art, just like Nan Tianjue. Star Emperor, kill him. You must have seen the power of the myriad manifestations geomancy art and violet chi psychic art. As long as you kill him, we can share the 2 secret skills. Nan Tianjue said coldly. His body glowed with divine light, and the blood chi filled the air. A new body was formed, but it looked much weaker than before. Brother Nan Tianjue, you're wrong. I'm not after Li Chunfeng's secret skills. I just want to seek justice for the elders of Star Palace. The Star Emperor said coldly. Hearing the Star Emperor's words, Ling Xiao, the old goat and the rest rolled their eyes and laughed coldly in their hearts. The Star Emperor's words were too hypocritical. If it wasn't for Li Chunfeng's secret skills, the Star Emperor wouldn't have taken action at all. At the same time, Ling Xiao was worried. Li Chunfeng seemed to be seriously injured. How could he resist the joint attack of the Star Emperor and Nan Tianjue? There was a flash of divine light in Ling Xiao's eyes. He seemed to have thought of something, and there was madness in his eyes. Ling Xiao, are you going to use the exploding dendrobium? The old goat was shocked, and he quickly sent a message to Ling Xiao. That's right. Li Chunfeng saved us, and he was injured because of us. If he can't win, the only thing we can use to injure the Star Emperor and Nan Tianjue is the exploding dendrobium. Ling Xiao sent a message, and there was a tinge of determination and madness in his voice. You're crazy, Ling Xiao. Let's not talk about whether you can get close to the Zhizun. Even if you can get close to the Zhizun and successfully ignite the exploding dendrobium, I don't know if the Zhizun will be killed, but you will definitely be killed. The old goat persuaded him. Don't worry, I have a way. Ling Xiao replied. Rumble. In the void, the Star Emperor was surrounded by starlight, and the big stars were rotating, giving out a bright and mysterious light. Behind Nan Tianjue, the southern gate stood in the chaos, and there was a surge of purple gas. The 2 Zhizun's divine power spread out, and they were like 2 divine swords, pressing down on Li Chunfeng from the sky. Die! Li Chunfeng shouted. Light surged in his eyes. The acupoints all over his body seemed to have opened up. Beams of light shot out densely, landing on the ground and shooting up into the sky. It was as if a divine light storm had been set off in an instant. The heaven and earth energy rose, and the purple gas filled the air. 2 real dragons, one purple and one yellow, appeared, and they were wrapped in monstrous dragon power. The roar of the dragons shook the sky, and they charged towards the Star Emperor and Nan Tianjue. Li Chunfeng's face turned as pale as a sheet of paper, but his eyes were still sharp and his body was still straight. Fighting spirit rose around him as he drove the 2 swords to fight fiercely with the 2 supremes. Rumble. The heavens and earth trembled, and a fierce battle broke out. The sky shattered, and divine light danced. The battle continued until the sun and moon dimmed, and the heavens and earth fell into eternal darkness. Chapter 556. Star Sovereign posed the greatest threat to Li Chunfeng. The purple true dragon flew across the void, condensed by the heavenly law. It was powerful, but it was still suppressed by Star Sovereign. Although Nan Tianjue's Nantian scripture was also powerful, it only had a slight advantage. The profound yellow true dragon drew endless profound yellow earth chi and attacked Nan Tianjue continuously. Rumble. The battle was too intense. The mountains around Heavenly God's city crumbled and the sky shattered like a mirror. Endless turbulence raged in the void. The Supreme Being's aura exploded, causing everyone to tremble and pale. This was the Supreme Being, a peerless Supreme Being. Everyone below the Supreme Being was just an ant. What shocked everyone the most was Li Chunfeng. He was only a half-step Supreme Being, but he was able to draw the heavenly phenomenon, feng shui, and fight with two Supreme Beings to such an extent. It would not take long for him to become famous. Jian Bumi, Qin Tong, and some other old monsters knew that the feng shui family was famous in the war god continent. Although it was said that they were cursed by the heavens and could not reach the Supreme Being realm, the power of feng shui was so powerful that even a half-step Supreme Being could fight with a Supreme Being. Now that they had witnessed the legend, they were amazed. Ling Zhao's eyes were sharp, and there was a faint golden light around him. The exploding dendrobium appeared in his hand. It looked like an ordinary stone flower, but those who knew about it would know how terrifying it was. Ling Zhao was ready to throw the exploding dendrobium at any time. Even though Star Sovereign and Nan Tianjue were Supreme Beings, there was a high chance that they would be severely injured or even killed. Li Chunfeng, Star Sovereign, and Nan Tianjue exchanged a few hundred blows in the blink of an eye, and he was at the end of his rope. Rumble. As the Star Emperor punched the purple real dragon, Nan Tianjue broke free from the profound yellow dragon and charged toward Li Chunfeng with a ferocious expression. Li Chunfeng, prepare to die. Nan Tianjue said coldly. He slashed down with his palm, and a blazing saber radiance pierced through the void, exuding a power that could destroy everything. It slashed towards Li Chunfeng. Just as Li Chunfeng was about to be killed by the saber, a huge hand reached out from the sky. Rumble. That hand was sparkling and translucent like jade, flowing with cold moonlight. In an instant, it collided with Nan Tianjue's palm. A vast amount of extremely cold qi exploded. Nan Tianjue's expression changed greatly. He was instantly blown back dozens of feet. His face turned pale as he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Supreme Great Moon. Star Emperor's expression changed slightly as a sharp light flashed in his eyes. There was also a tinge of fear. Crack. The space shattered, and the resplendent moonlight drifted down. It was as if a full moon had appeared. A woman appeared in the sky. Although her face couldn't be seen clearly, she had a peerless temperament. She was like a goddess from the 9 heavens, ethereal and mysterious. It's actually the Great Moon Sovereign. The Master of the Lunar Palace. How is Li Chunfeng related to the Grand Moon Sovereign? Everyone was stunned and confused. Li Chunfeng was about to die. They did not expect the Grand Moon Sovereign to save him. Things were getting more and more complicated. Ling Zhao glanced at the Moon God. The Moon God smiled faintly and nodded. Ling Zhao understood that the Moon God must have invited the Grand Moon Sovereign over. Ling Zhao heaved a sigh of relief. It was naturally the best that the Grand Moon Sovereign was willing to help. Otherwise, he was really going to risk his life with the exploding dendrobium. Star Emperor, for my sake, can you let Li Chunfeng go? A cold and indifferent voice was heard. The woman had a pair of resplendent eyes that seemed to be able to contain the entire sky. She looked at Star Emperor indifferently. Grand Moon, what's your relationship with Li Chunfeng? Li Chunfeng killed 4 elders of the Star Palace. It's impossible for me to let this matter rest. Star Emperor said indifferently, with a tinge of sharpness in his eyes. After hearing the voice of the Grand Moon Sovereign, Li Chunfeng was shocked and there was a tinge of complexity in his eyes. Star Emperor, Li Chunfeng is an old friend of mine. Can you give me some face? As for the elders of the Star Palace that Li Chunfeng killed, I'll compensate on his behalf. The Grand Moon Sovereign said slowly. She was surrounded by moonlight and there seemed to be a mysterious vision of ascension. Star Emperor, you can't let Li Chunfeng go. He has to die. As long as he's dead, the nature geomancy and purple chi's spiritual skill will be ours. Nan Tianjue's expression changed and he quickly shouted. His eyes were filled with a cold sneer. Who are you? I'm talking to the Star Emperor. Who are you to interrupt? There was a flash of divine light in the eyes of the Grand Moon Sovereign. She slapped and a terrifying supreme divine power exploded. It was as though the entire universe was being compressed in her palm. Nan Tianjue did not have the slightest bit of resistance and he was sent flying by her slap. What? Everyone trembled and there was a tinge of disbelief in their eyes. Nan Tianjue was a genuine sovereign expert. He could not even withstand a single blow and was sent flying by the Grand Moon Sovereign's slap. How strong was the Grand Moon Sovereign? You took that step. The Star Emperor was shocked and his voice became bitter. There was a tinge of shock in his eyes. Originally, although he was afraid of the Grand Moon Sovereign, he still wanted to fight with the Grand Moon Sovereign. However, the aura just now made him feel as if he had fallen into an icy abyss. If the Grand Moon Sovereign had really taken that step, he would have no chance at all. Titled Sovereign. This is the power of a titled sovereign, the pinnacle of the human Tao. I didn't expect the Grand Moon Sovereign to be so strong. The old goat sent a message to Ling Xiao. His voice was filled with admiration and envy. Ling Xiao nodded. The Grand Moon Sovereign had indeed taken that step. Although she had just taken that step, she had already achieved the pinnacle of the human Tao. No wonder she could send Nan Tianjue flying with a slap. A titled sovereign had the power to look down on ordinary sovereigns. Nan Tianjue's condensed body exploded again after he was slapped. He was severely injured and coughed out mouthfuls of blood. After hearing the Star Emperor's words, Nan Tianjue's body trembled. His eyes were filled with disbelief but he did not dare to say anything else. If a titled sovereign wanted to kill him, it would not be that difficult. The Star Emperor said bitterly, Grand Moon Sovereign, since you insist on protecting Li Chunfeng, I will give you face. However, I hope that you will not interfere in the feud between Li Chunfeng and Nan Tianjue. All right. Even the Star Emperor did not expect the Grand Moon Sovereign to agree so easily. Thank you, Grand Moon Sovereign. Li Chunfeng looked at the Grand Moon Sovereign in the sky and smiled bitterly. He was a little dazed. He owed her even more. Chapter 557. Li Chunfeng's expression was complicated. He knew that the Grand Moon Sovereign had promised Star Sovereign not to interfere in the feud between him and Nan Tianjue. He wanted Li Chunfeng to kill his enemy personally. Nan Tianjue's expression changed instantly. He had witnessed the power of the myriad geomancy and purple aura spiritual technique. Without Star Sovereign's help, he would have died in Li Chunfeng's hands. However, Nan Tianjue also knew that Star Sovereign would not be able to protect himself now that the Grand Moon Sovereign had taken that step. Li Chunfeng, come on. Let's fight to the death. Nan Tianjue's eyes revealed a hint of madness. A violent aura spread out from his body. Faint flames appeared, accompanied by mysterious Supreme Being symbols. Everyone's expression changed. Nan Tianjue had burned his supreme law. It seemed like he was going to fight to the death with Li Chunfeng. Li Chunfeng was already severely injured. Could he still fight against Nan Tianjue? Li Chunfeng's eyes were filled with hatred. He said coldly, Nan Tianjue, I'll make you pay with your life for the 53,123 clansmen of my Li family. I won't rest until I'm dead. Rumble. The heavens and earth trembled. Purple aura filled the air and yellow aura rose. Li Chunfeng started burning his life essence. His eyes were filled with tears of blood as he charged towards Nan Tianjue. Li Chunfeng, just you wait. If I could slaughter your Li family 2,000 years ago, I can kill you too. There was a strange look in South Sky Ju's eyes. He actually took the attack of South Sky Ju head-on. Black mist spread around his body, and the void behind him was instantly torn apart. A monstrous giant hand that contained dark and cold devil chi instantly grabbed South Sky Ju and hid in the void. Leave him here. A cold glint flashed in the Grand Moon Sovereign's eyes. He instantly struck out with his palm. Dazzling moonlight streaked across the sky like a vast sword force. Its sharpness was unparalleled. In an instant, it pierced through layers of void space and slashed towards the demonic palm. Rumble. The void exploded violently. The sword aura swept across and turned Nan Tianjue's body into pieces. However, the demonic hand still grabbed Nan Tianjue's head and broke through the sword aura's blockade. It left the place. Kiki, the Supreme Moon Sovereign has actually proven his Tao and obtained a title? Little girl, sooner or later, you will become this king's plaything. A cold and arrogant voice reverberated in the void. This is the power of the Heaven Demon King. Star Emperor's body shook as his eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. He was very familiar with the monstrous devil chi just now. It was the power of the extraterritorial devil. However, he did not expect that not only was Nan Tianjue an extraterritorial devil, he was also taken away by an extraterritorial devil king. You want to leave? It's better for you to stay. The Grand Moon Sovereign's gaze was extremely sharp. He instantly tore through the void and chased after the extraterrestrial demon king. Star Emperor hesitated for a moment before following them. Everyone had the right to kill the extraterrestrial heavenly demons, especially since the Grand Moon Sovereign had already attained the title of Heavenly Demon King. Perhaps he could really make that Heavenly Demon King stay. When that time came, he would also be able to get a share of the loot. Ling Xiao, please take care of Luoluo. South Heaven Ju must die. After I kill South Heaven Ju, I'll look for you. At that time, I'll teach you the Dragon Quake Scripture, Myriad Geomancy skill, and Purple Aura spiritual skill. Li Chunfeng quickly transmitted his voice to Ling Xiao. His eyes revealed a trace of cold killing intent. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Luoluo. Ling Xiao nodded. He knew that after being tortured by hatred for 2,000 years, Li Chunfeng would not let Nan Tianjue go. The purple aura in the void flashed and turned into a purple dragon. Li Chunfeng stood on the purple dragon and tore through the void in an instant as he chased after Nan Tianjue. This sudden turn of events shocked everyone. No one had expected that the family head of the Nantian family, Nan Tianjue, would be an extraterritorial devil. Moreover, he was rescued by the extraterritorial devil king. As for the people of the Nantian family, they looked as though they had just died. Their eyes were filled with fear. Previously, they had been arrogant and despotic because they relied on Nan Tianjue. Now that Nan Tianjue had turned into an extraterritorial devil and became a devil that everyone in the War God continent wanted to kill, the Nantian family would not be far from destruction. Some of the people of the Nantian family even prepared to leave quietly. Trying to run. Don't let them run away. There must be many extraterritorial devils in the Nantian family. Keep them under strict surveillance. No wonder the Nantian family is so arrogant. They actually dared to collude with the extraterritorial devil. The crowd was filled with righteous indignation. They immediately rushed forward and began to beat up the people of the Nantian family. Among them, there were people who hated the extraterritorial devil. However, there were more who wanted to take advantage of the situation. One should know that the Southern Sky House had opened branches all over the War God continent and accumulated endless wealth. Although it was not as rich as the Precious Treasure Pavilion, it was still as rich as a country. Some people began to rush towards the Southern Sky House, preparing to rob it of everything. The extraterritorial Devil King has appeared. Is the calamity from 10,000 years ago going to happen again? A group of old monsters led by Chen Tong and Jian Unmai revealed an incomparably worried expression. The extraterritorial Devil King was a peerless devil comparable to a titled supreme being. His ferocious might overflowed the heavens. 10,000 years ago, he had caused a boundless calamity. The war god continent had gone through 10,000 years of cultivation, but there were still very few top-notch experts. Even supreme beings could be counted with one's fingers, not to mention the titled supreme beings whose might shook the ages and swept through the heavens. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a sharp light. A sense of urgency rose in his heart. If the extraterritorial devil really caused another calamity, without the cultivation of a supreme being, how could he protect himself and the people he cared about in this chaotic world? In the face of a calamity, those below the supreme being realm were all ants. Even supreme beings were in danger of dying. Old goat, Taoist Wuliang, let's leave Heavenly God's city and head for Gemini Mountain. Ling Xiao made up his mind and decided to leave immediately. Good, the extraterritorial devil king has appeared. It seems like the war god continent is going to be chaotic again. We must quickly recover our cultivation. Let's go to Gemini Mountain to look for Jin Se, but don't get your hopes up. The old goat and Taoist Wuliang glanced at Ling Xiao worriedly. Don't worry. It's my fortune if I get it, but it's my fate if I don't. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. A trace of anticipation appeared in his eyes as he looked in the direction of Gemini Mountain. Ling Xiao bid farewell to the moon goddess and brought Luo over. I have to rush back to the lunar palace as well. I won't come out of seclusion until I break through to the monarch realm. You have to be careful. South Sky's End's identity has been exposed. He'll probably act even more fearlessly. Star Emperor isn't simple either. Chapter 558. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Don't worry, I'll be careful. However, I heard that the Moon Palace isn't peaceful either. You have to be careful as well. Moon God gave Ling Xiao a very strange feeling. She had a vague and mysterious aura. Ling Xiao felt that there was a mysterious power awakening in Moon God's body. Therefore, although Moon God's cultivation increased quickly, her foundation was very solid. Ling Xiao had long guessed that perhaps the Moon Goddess was the reincarnation of an almighty. The Moon Goddess smiled faintly and nodded. The Moon Goddess changed Luo into a new set of clothes and washed away the dust on her body. Her large eyes sparkled like jewels and her long eyelashes fluttered. She looked like a porcelain doll and had a special temperament. Although Luo was worried about Li Chunfeng, she was very obedient. She obediently followed Ling Xiao and prepared to leave Heavenly God City. Heavenly God City was already in chaos. The human emperor and crown prince of the ancient kingdom of Azure Dragon had actually been possessed by an otherworldly demon. Although the second prince and ninth princess Yuanwan were doing their best to calm everyone down, everyone was still in a state of panic. Some people even began to flee Heavenly God City. As for the Nantian family, they were like rats crossing the street. Everyone wanted to beat them up. The Nantian house and other properties of the Nantian family were also robbed clean. Many young geniuses and many old monsters hurriedly left Heavenly God City, preparing to report what had happened to their sects or families. Under such circumstances, Ling Xiao brought the old goat, Taoist Wuliang, and Luo out of Heavenly God City without attracting anyone's attention. Heavenly God City had a void teleportation array that could teleport across dozens of states. Ling Xiao quietly put away the Heavenly God Stone. Then the four of them sat on the void teleportation array and left. By the time everyone realized that the Heavenly God Stone was gone, it was already too late. The Twin Mountains were located in the eastern part of the War God continent. It was hundreds of states away from Heavenly God City. Even if they used the void teleportation array, it would take several days. Ling Xiao and the other three teleported non-stop. They didn't stop along the way and headed straight for the Twin Mountains. While sitting on the void teleportation array, Ling Xiao didn't forget to count his gains. South Celestial Venerable, 7 kills, Destruction Army, and Greed were all killed by Ling Xiao. Their primordial spirits were also collected by Ling Xiao. As for the 7 half-step supreme beings that Li Chunfeng had killed, he had also given their primordial spirits and storage rings to Ling Xiao. All in all, Ling Xiao had an astonishing amount of wealth in his hands. What excited Ling Xiao the most was the divine ability contained in the primordial spirits of the 4 geniuses and the 7 half-step supreme being. Ling Xiao, you'll die a horrible death. Ling Xiao, I won't dare to go against you anymore. Please spare me. In Ling Xiao's consciousness, Celestial Venerable South, 7 kills, defeating armies, and Ravenous Wolf were all bound by the wordless heavenly book. They were struggling violently. Among them, 7 kills, defeating armies, and Ravenous Wolf had some backbone. They were all cursing Ling Xiao loudly. Only Celestial Venerable South was the worst. He was crying and begging Ling Xiao to spare his life. If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place? You'd better obediently become my resources. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, a sharp glint in his eyes. Boom! The wordless heavenly book trembled slightly. Streams of divine power of order swept across the sky and began to strip the divine ability contained in their primordial spirits. Ling Xiao, what are you trying to do? You want to devour our divine ability? Aren't you afraid of our elements? Ling Xiao, you're the biggest demon. You'll die a horrible death. I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. The 4 of them were scared out of their wits. If Ling Xiao forcefully stripped their divine ability, their souls would be completely destroyed. They wouldn't even be able to reincarnate. Noisy. You can't even become ghosts. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. The divine power of order swept over them. The 4 of them screamed in pain. Their faces began to twist as they cursed Ling Xiao loudly. Ling Xiao turned a deaf ear to him. His eyes shone brightly. Within the primordial spirits of the 4 of them, stars of Abhijna emanated out, exuding a mysterious aura. The power of laws intertwined, containing the true will of the martial way. What surprised Ling Xiao the most was that there were a total of 33 supreme divine abilities in the primordial spirits of the 4 of them. Among them, there were a total of 12 supreme divine abilities in the primordial spirit of Nan Tianzuan, including Purple Chi's spiritual skill and Nantian Gate. Other than that, they were all supreme superpowers from Star Palace. For example, supreme superpowers such as Star Vitality Hand, Evil King Star Slash, Mixed Elements Single Breath Sword. Any one of them would cause countless people to fight for it. After all, no one could be like Ling Xiao, who killed the 4 exceptional geniuses of Nantian family and Star Palace without being affected. As for major and minor divine abilities, there were a total of 185 types. However, Ling Xiao didn't plan to merge them. He kept them. Although he didn't need them, it wasn't a bad choice to leave them for the disciples of Changsun sect. After all, not everyone had the aptitude to cultivate supreme divine abilities. After fusing these 33 supreme divine abilities, the number of supreme divine abilities in my sea of consciousness has reached 43. I wonder how many supreme divine abilities are in the primordial spirits of the 7 half-step supremes. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a tinge of anticipation. The primordial spirits of the 7 half-step supreme beings were also bound in the wordless heaven book. After the divine ability stars were removed from their primordial spirits, Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a tinge of disappointment. The 7 half-step supreme martial artists only had 17 supreme martial artists, while the major and minor supreme martial artists had 320 supreme martial artists. It could be seen that the foundation of the 7 half-step supreme beings was indeed very weak. They probably wouldn't be able to reach the supreme being realm in their lifetime. 60 supreme divine abilities, it's already surpassed my peak in my previous life. I'm afraid there aren't many people in War God continent who can be as extravagant as me. Ling Xiao sighed. At the same time, he lamented that if it wasn't for the wordless heaven book and the heaven-devouring secret skill, even if he killed Nan Tianzuan and the rest, he wouldn't be able to remove the divine ability stars from their primordial spirits. It was because of the wordless heaven book that Ling Xiao was able to have such a heaven-defying opportunity. Apart from these divine art stars, there were also many pure yang pills in the storage rings of Celestial Venerable Nan and the others. Ling Xiao had found more than 35 million pure yang pills from the 4 celestial venerables and the 7 half-step supremes. There were other supreme Dao weapons, precious spirit pills, spirit medicines, and even quasi-supreme weapons. Ling Xiao was dazzled. He had indeed struck a windfall. However, Ling Xiao didn't care about these things. On the other hand, the 2 money grubbers, Old Goat and Daoist Wuliang, were all smiles as they split the spoils happily. Just like that, Ling Xiao spent the past few days on the teleportation formation refining the stars in his sea of consciousness as he traveled. Not only did his comprehension of the laws of heaven and the origin energy of the martial way increase rapidly, but even the power of his soul began to skyrocket. Chapter 559. God Burial Cave was one of the 8 forbidden grounds of War God Continent. According to legend, it was the wasteland of the ancient War of Gods, the resting place of the gods. Legend had it that the God Burial Cave contained the inheritance of the gods and legendary divine medicines, but it was filled with danger. There were many terrifying beings there that even exalts didn't dare to rashly enter. God Burial Cave stretched across Burial Plain and the Divine Prefecture. It stretched for millions of kilometers and was boundlessly vast. No one could explore the area clearly. Twin Dragon City was one of the ancient cities of Burial Plain, and it was only 500 kilometers away from Twin Mountains. When Ling Xiao and the others walked out of the teleportation array, they were immediately met with a desolate, deathly stillness. Ling Xiao had completely refined and absorbed 60 supreme divine abilities during this period of time. The energy of his origin spirit had risen explosively, and it was comparable to a peak monarch realm expert. Moreover, his cultivation had stabilized at the 10th level of the noble realm. So long as Ling Xiao issued a single command in his heart, he would be able to condense powerful divine ability projections with those 60 supreme divine abilities and break through into the monarch realm. However, Ling Xiao was still suppressing his cultivation. While 60 supreme abilities could be considered as world-shaking, Ling Xiao wasn't satisfied. It really is Twin Dragon City. I've returned after 10,000 years. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of emotion. He still remembered that he'd met Jin Se for the first time at Twin Mountains, and they'd often visited Twin Dragon City. There were many familiar memories here. The reason it was called that was because legend had it that 2 dragon veins intersected beneath Twin Dragon City. They contained vast amounts of earth dragon chi that nourished the living beings here. Everyone in Twin Dragon City was like a dragon. Every single one of them possessed peerless cultivation. 10,000 years ago, they were a considerable force even on War God Continent where experts gathered. However, when the energy of Ling Xiao's soul spread out and enveloped the city, he frowned. Twin Dragon City was still the same as it was 10,000 years ago, but the extremely dense earth dragon chi had dispersed. Instead, it was enveloped by a faint layer of heaven burial death chi. The entire city was very gloomy. There were many villains in the city. Murder, arson, and robbery could be seen everywhere. Many people's expressions were extremely ferocious, and the entire city was in chaos. The originally peaceful city seemed to have become a city of sin that had been exiled. Ugly scenes were playing out one after another. How did Twin Dragon City become like this? The mountain goat was stunned as well. His eyes were filled with shock. Murder, arson, there's nothing they wouldn't do. The earth dragon chi has vanished, and the entire city is enveloped by heaven burial death chi. Has something happened in Cave of Burial? Daoist Wuliang had a solemn look in his eyes. He had sealed himself in ice for thousands of years. Although he had been reborn, he had never been to Gemini City and did not know that there would be such a change here. Big brother, I'm scared. Luoluo grasped Ling Xiao's hand tightly. Her face was a little pale and there was a hint of fear in her eyes. After Ling Xiao's group of 4 walked out of the teleportation array, they were surrounded by many ferocious-looking people who were wearing animal skins and had scars on their faces. They stared at them as if they were staring at fat lambs. Their undisguised gazes made Ling Xiao's gaze turn cold. Even though he didn't know why Twin Dragon City had become like this, Ling Xiao didn't mind killing all of them if they dared to target them. While Twin Dragon City was an ancient city, Ling Xiao sensed that there were no exalts within the city. The strongest was merely a quasi-exalt who had undergone the tribulation of 4 symbols. Luo Luo, don't be afraid. Let's go. Ling Xiao rubbed Luo Luo's head and pulled her out of the teleportation formation. Bang! A powerful aura erupted from Daoist Wuliang. His cultivation at the 9th level of the monarch realm erupted, and it instantly caused the villains in the surroundings to tremble while a trace of fear appeared in their eyes. A 9th level monarch realm expert could be considered an expert even in Twin Dragon City, so they naturally didn't dare to offend him. His originally blazing gaze was immediately concealed. Young master, do you need a guide? Just 10 spirit crystals is enough. I'm extremely familiar with the situation in Twin Dragon City. You can ask me anything you want to know. As soon as Ling Xiao's group left the square, a handsome young man who seemed to be around the age of 13 or 14 ran over. He bowed to Ling Xiao's group and spoke respectfully. His eyes were filled with anticipation. A guide? Ling Xiao glanced indifferently at the young man, and a sharp light flashed through his eyes. The young man was dressed in shabby clothes, and he was only at the 9th level of the true energy realm. He didn't seem to be anything unusual. The young man's body tensed up as if he'd been seen through. He instantly realized that this young master was a peerless expert, and his expression became even more respectful. What's your name? Here are 100 spirit crystals. I'll reward you handsomely if you know what I want to know. Ling Xiao tossed 100 spirit crystals to the young man as he spoke indifferently. The young man was stunned for a moment before joy appeared on his face. He hurriedly caught the spirit crystals and carefully put them away before respectfully saying, "Thank you, young master. My name is Qin Dong. I grew up in Chaos City, so I'll know what you want to know." Qin Dong patted his chest. At the same time, he knew that he'd met a rich man today, so he immediately perked up. Chaos City. Isn't this place called Twin Dragon City? Ling Xiao, the old goat, and Daoist Wuliang looked at each other in shock. Qin Dong looked at Ling Xiao with surprise and wryly smiled. Young master, you must have come from very far away, right? Twin Dragon City is a name from thousands of years ago. Very few people know about it now. It's called Chaos City now. Let's talk as we walk. First, tell me why this place is called Chaos City. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he spoke indifferently. Qin Dong hurriedly explained to Ling Xiao. It turned out that Twin Dragon City was also affected by the catastrophe 10,000 years ago. During that catastrophe, the 2 dragon veins under Twin Dragon City broke, and an earth-shattering battle took place in the God Burial Cave, causing the Heaven Burial Aura to spread throughout the God Burial Cave. Without the protection of the Earth's dragon chi, after thousands of years of evolution, Twin Dragon City began to be enveloped by the Heaven Burial Aura. The Heaven Burial Aura was a special power in the God Burial Cave. It was different from ordinary heaven and earth spirit chi. It contained a violent death chi. The living beings in Twin Dragon City were affected by the Heaven Burial Aura, and their personalities gradually became violent and bloodthirsty. Gradually, this place became a city of chaos. Many ruffians, bandits, and even sect members from the God of War continent liked to come here. As a result, the name Twin Dragon City was gradually forgotten. Everyone called this place Chaos City. Heaven Burial Aura spread. Then do you know about Twin Dragon's Mountain? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He had a bad feeling in his heart, so he quickly asked. Chapter 560. Twin Mountains. There's no place called Twin Mountains around Chaos City. Qin Dong was stunned as he looked at Ling Xiao in confusion. Ling Xiao's heart trembled. He stared into Qin Dong's eyes and realized that he wasn't lying. He slowly said, 500 kilometers southeast of Chaos City, there used to be 2 mountains. They originated from the same source, and they were the Twin Mountains, 500 kilometers southeast of Chaos City. That place. I remember now. Chendong came to a sudden understanding, and he hurriedly said, I once heard from the seniors that there really were two mountains 500 kilometers southeast of Chaos City. However, after that calamity 10,000 years ago, those two mountains were obliterated, and only the Divine Cave remains now. Right, young master, I heard that the Ghost King sect of Chaos City has surrounded the Divine Cave recently. It's said that divine light has been spewing out of the Divine Cave these few days. It seems like some treasure is about to appear. However, the Ghost King sect is powerful, so no one dares to offend them. The Twin Mountains disappeared. The Divine Cave. Ling Zhao's heart revealed a trace of bitterness. Although he was mentally prepared, he still couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. However, 10,000 years ago, the God Burial Cave was tens of thousands of miles away from Twin Dragon City. Now, the Twin Dragon Mountains thousands of miles away were covered by the God Burial Cave. It even formed a God Burial Cave, which made Ling Zhao curious. Within the God Burial Cave, there were countless divine caves. It was said that each divine cave was the place where a god had fallen. Some of them contained supreme divine treasures, some of them contained heaven-shaking killing intent. Those who could explore the divine caves were all martial holy lands. Even the holy lands of martial arts could only explore the divine caves in the periphery of the Divine Burial Cave. As for the interior, even paragons didn't dare to set foot there. The old goat glanced at Ling Zhao. He knew how Ling Zhao felt, so he comforted him, Ling Zhao, don't worry. Let's go take a look at the Divine Cave. Perhaps we can find some clues. Alright, let's go take a look at the Divine Cave. Ling Zhao nodded. After that, Ling Zhao asked a few more questions and inquired about the strength of the Ghost King sect. It turned out that the forces in Chaos City were tangled and complicated. The Ghost King sect was one of the top forces. It was said that they even had a paragon overseeing it. The Ghost King sect's actions were both righteous and evil, and they were very mysterious. Chendong only knew some general information. Young master, you're going to the Divine Cave. I advise you not to go there. Not to mention that the Divine Cave is filled with danger, the people of the Ghost King sect kill without batting an eyelid and are incomparably ferocious. If you offend them, you will immediately be in great trouble. Chendong advised. At the mention of the Ghost King sect, there was a hint of fear in his eyes. We're just going to take a look. We won't provoke the Ghost King sect. Ling Zhao said with a smile. No matter what, Ling Zhao still had to make a trip to the Divine Cave. Otherwise, he wouldn't be satisfied. Chendong glanced at Ling Zhao, and then he gritted his teeth and said, Young master, since you insist on going, then I won't stop you. I have a map here, and it's related to the Cave of Gods. A senior of mine risked his life to obtain it, and I'll give it to young master. I hope that all of you will be able to return safely. After saying that, Chendong took out a tattered animal skin map and passed it to Ling Zhao. The animal skin map looked very old and was somewhat damaged. There were some lines of mountains and rivers carved on it. It seemed that the recorded content was very detailed. When Ling Zhao saw the animal skin map, he was shocked. However, he maintained his composure and said, Chendong, this animal skin map has a very detailed record. It doesn't seem to be just one divine cave, right? Why are you giving such a precious map to me? Chendong laughed bitterly and said, Young master, my senior said that this map is the map of the Divine Burial Cave. It should be extremely precious. However, if this item is in my hands, it will be a fatal disaster. I just want to form a good relationship with young master. Is that so? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He instinctively felt that Chendong was lying. However, he also felt that Chendong didn't have any ill intentions towards him. All right. This map is indeed useful to me. I'll accept it. Here are some spiritual crystals and a few martial arts manuals. As long as you cultivate diligently, your future will be bright. Ling Xiao smiled and took out a storage ring and passed it to Qindong. Then, he turned around and led Luo Luo out of the city with the old goat and Taoist Wuyang. Qindong stood where he was and watched Ling Xiao and the other three leave. His eyes revealed a trace of worry. After a short while, he sighed and opened the storage ring that Ling Xiao had given him. He was instantly stunned. There were actually over 1 million spiritual crystals in the storage ring. The spiritual crystals emitted a dazzling glow and piled up into a mountain. They contained an extremely vast amount of energy that was sufficient for him to cultivate to the noble realm. What made Qindong even more excited were the 2 martial arts manuals in the storage ring. The Void Immemorial Technique. The Fiend King Star Slash. They were both heaven-rank peerless martial arts. Ling Xiao had obtained these 2 martial arts from the Star Palace. It could be said that he had no qualms about giving them away. However, Qindong was only a little martial artist at the 9th level of the true energy realm. When had he ever seen such a shocking peerless martial art? A peerless heaven-rank peerless martial art was enough for him to cultivate to the monarch realm. He hurriedly put away the storage ring. His heart was beating rapidly. He looked around and noticed that no one was paying attention to him. Only then did he act as if nothing had happened and quickly left the place. At the same time, Qindong knew that the beast skin map was probably worth a lot. He had made the right bet. Ling Xiao and the other 3 left Chaos City and flew towards the Twin Mountains. Ling Xiao, is there any secret in that beast skin map? The old goat looked at Ling Xiao curiously and asked. He knew that Ling Xiao was not someone who would take advantage of others. Even if Ling Xiao had no use for them, he had given Qindong so many spiritual crystals and martial arts manuals. To an ordinary martial artist, it was still a great fortune even if Ling Xiao had no use for them. That's right. I once obtained 2 beast skin maps in the 8 Desolation region. I didn't expect to see another one here. This map should be complete now. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and a glimmer of light appeared in his eyes. 2 black beast skin maps appeared in his hands. Although they were not as big as Qindong's beast skin map, they were of the same origin. The 3 maps began to tremble in an instant. Then, with a flash of light in the void, mysterious runes flickered and fused together. Buzz! A complete map floated in front of Ling Xiao and emitted a faint light. The mysterious lines on the map seemed to have come alive and faintly pointed to a mysterious place. This place is actually the depths of the God Burial Cave. Could it really be a treasure map? The old goat was stunned for a moment. Then, a look of incomparable joy appeared in his eyes. The map seemed to be made of neither gold nor jade. It was a transparent color and seemed to be intertwined with countless laws. Ling Xiao could not see through it. On the map, there were numerous god caverns gushing with spiritual energy. They were mysterious and unfathomable. In the center of these countless god caverns was the largest one. It seemed to be able to connect the heavens and earth and emitted an incomparably terrifying aura. And the final direction that the map pointed to was that god caverns. It's possible. On this map, there is the safest route that leads directly to that god caverns. Perhaps we can really go there and investigate. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Even he found it difficult to see the origin of this map. It seemed to be completely natural and there were no traces of it being man-made. Chapter 561. Who's there? The old goat and Taoist Wuyang were shocked. Their hairs stood on end as if they were facing a great enemy. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply as if he wasn't surprised at all. He said plainly, "You finally couldn't hold it in anymore." You actually know who I am? The voice rang out again, with a hint of surprise in it. If I'm not wrong, you're the artifact spirit of that broken saber, right? Ling Xiao smiled faintly as his gaze landed on a broken saber in the wordless heavenly book. Although he had killed Celestial Venerable Nan in the battle, her mysterious broken saber had posed a great threat to Ling Xiao. Fortunately, it had been restrained by the wordless heavenly book in the end and had been imprisoned. After the broken saber was restrained by the wordless heavenly book, it showed great resistance. Ling Xiao couldn't refine it at all and was trapped in the wordless heavenly book. It wasn't until Ling Xiao refined Celestial Venerable Nan's primordial spirit that he finally understood that there was a mysterious artifact spirit in this mysterious broken saber. It was so mysterious that Celestial Venerable Nan didn't know its origin. The artifact spirit was the one who told Celestial Venerable Nan the secret of the wordless heavenly book. Ling Xiao ignored the mysterious broken saber these days as he waited for it to jump out. He didn't expect it to be so soon. Hee, you refined Celestial Venerable Nan's primordial spirit. Indeed, nothing can be hidden from you. Let me go, and I'll teach you a supreme technique to help you reach the God realm and become immortal. The mysterious artifact spirit said arrogantly, with a bossy attitude. Ling Xiao laughed angrily. Why are you still pretending when you're about to die? If you didn't help Celestial Venerable Nan, how would my wordless heavenly book be exposed? We're enemies, not friends. I'd have to be crazy to let you go, right? I helped Celestial Venerable Nan because we have different masters. Now that he's dead, I've decided to help you. You don't understand what kind of existence I am. You'll be scared to death if I tell you. Hurry up and let me go. The artifact spirit sneered. Let me guess. Since you know about the wordless heavenly book, are you a subordinate of the Scarlet Dragon Battle God? Or are you the artifact spirit of one of his weapons? I advise you to confess honestly so that you won't suffer. Ling Xiao sneered. This artifact spirit didn't have any good intentions. Ling Xiao could see from Celestial Venerable Nan's primordial spirit that even though he gave Celestial Venerable Nan pointers, he treated Celestial Venerable Nan as a spendthrift who collected supreme treasures to repair primordial spirit. He didn't reveal his origin to Celestial Venerable Nan at all. Furthermore, it was obvious that the weapon spirit had used all of its strength in that last slash to take Ling Xiao's life. The artifact spirit was still very arrogant. Ling Xiao, you don't need to guess blindly. Let me tell you, the wordless heavenly book cannot trap me. If you obediently cooperate with me, I will help you obtain a supreme opportunity. If you don't listen, I'll spread the news that you've obtained the textless heavenly book. At that time, I'm afraid there won't be a place for you on the War God continent. Ling Xiao, kill this son of a bitch. How dare the spirit of a mere broken saber be so arrogant? I'm so angry. The words of the weapon spirit resounded in the minds of Ling Xiao and the others. The old goat couldn't help but curse loudly. His eyes were filled with coldness. A mere artifact spirit dared to threaten Ling Xiao. Killing intent flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. He sneered and said, "You coward hiding in the broken saber. Do you really think I can't do anything to you? Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish." Boom! In Ling Xiao's mind, monstrous primordial spirit power erupted. Divine chains of order shot out from the wordless heavenly book, containing a mysterious power of law. They wrapped around the mysterious broken saber. The wordless heavenly book shone brightly as if an ancient power was awakening. It produced a strange resonance with Ling Xiao's primordial spirit. In an instant, boundless power spread out and enveloped the mysterious broken saber. What? How could you have made the wordless heavenly book recognize you as its master? The wordless heavenly book is mine. No one can take it away from me. You thief, bastard! The artifact spirit was furious. His voice was filled with incomparable shock. But soon, he began to scream and beg for mercy. Divine chains of order spread out like a net and directly forced a black shadow out of the broken saber. It was a black shadow that contained a vast amount of spiritual energy. Moreover, it was filled with an immortal substance. Its shape and face could not be seen clearly, but there was a pair of blood-red eyes that stared furiously at Ling Xiao. This was the artifact spirit of the mysterious broken saber. Even the Scarlet Dragon War God could not make the wordless heavenly book recognize you as its master. How did you do it? With your cultivation, it's impossible to activate the power of the wordless heavenly book. The artifact spirit stared at Ling Xiao, his eyes full of disbelief. Even the Scarlet Dragon War God could not make it recognize you as its master. How do you know? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and he said indifferently. Let me go first, and I'll tell you. The artifact spirit was still stubborn. Hee, you're still stubborn when you're about to die. In that case, there's no need for you to exist. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. The wordless heavenly book exuded a majestic power. Divine chains of order bound the artifact spirit and pulled him toward the wordless heavenly book. A force that could obliterate everything broke out. What are you doing? Let me go. How dare you kill me? You won't get any benefits from killing me. The artifact spirit was suddenly scared out of his wits. His eyes were full of horror and he roared. It was not until this time that he felt a strong sense of death. Although he knew that the wordless heavenly book was very terrifying and contained 108 supreme secret skills, he did not know that the wordless heavenly book's restraint on the spirit was so terrible. Don't worry, after I kill you, I'll know all your secrets. Ling Xiao's eyes showed a trace of coldness, and his eyes were blazing with killing intent. He knew that the artifact spirit was up to no good. If it were not for the wordless heavenly book that could restrain the artifact spirit might even have thought of seizing Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao felt a deep malice and killing intent from the artifact spirit. Rumble. Divine chains of order spread out. The artifact spirit did not have the slightest ability to resist and was slowly swallowed by the wordless heavenly book. At the same time, the sky-devouring golden lotus bloomed with a bright light. The mysterious rule of Devour erupted, slowly erasing the artifact spirit's imprint. The artifact spirit's eyes were full of horror. He instantly begged loudly, "Let me go, Ling Xiao. Master Ling, I'm willing to recognize you as my master. I'm willing to tell you everything I know. Spare my life, I don't want to die." P.S. Chapter 3. There's one more chapter tonight. I've repeated some things many times, but many people still don't understand. Mu Yu has his own work. 4 chapters a day is already the limit. How many authors update more than me? Mu Yu made up for the chapters that he owed when he was on leave. It's the same this time. He owes everyone a total of 12 chapters. From tomorrow onwards, he will try to make up for it in a few days. So, please understand. In addition, Mu Yu is actively saving chapters. At least 20 chapters will be released by the end of this month. Mu Yu will do what he says. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.